Yo, what is up, everybody? How are we doing today? Today is the date of July 14th of 2026. How are we doing today, guys? I hope we are doing well. We are here for yet another day of debates as there's some very interesting news developing about this new primetime speech that Donald Trump will be conducting here on Thursday, where he will try to sow doubt into our electoral system. And I think that is so sad that this man, he won. He won! Why does he have to continue to beat on this drum of false elections? Don't you think if we rigged it once, we could do it again? Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I would love to hear the cope from MAGA today because this is some truly, in my opinion, very disturbing developments. Let me turn down the music. Let me turn it down just a hair more. Might have to go into my browser settings. One moment. One moment, folks. But yes, he is going to try and sow doubt into our elections once again, ladies and gentlemen. No shock, though. This man is an absolute scoundrel. He is scum. He is going to try and cheat any way he can, and it's to be expected from him, truthfully. However, to do it on in such a national forum and on such a national scale, I think it is very concerning. Very concerning. But we will hopefully I think we'll be able to weather the storm, but I would just be careful and make sure to stay tuned to the news, because this is something that I feel could snowball into something much bigger if we are not careful. So I believe it's best to just stay cognizant of the attempts by this administration to sow doubt into our elections. Again, our elections are one of the most secure in the entire world. They're incredibly decentralized, which is why I oppose the Save America Act. They are ran by their own state, each independently, which is why our system works so well, because of its decentralized nature. However, Donald Trump at every step has tried to uproot this system and make it work for him rather than the people. Hey, what's up, Jeff? Good to see you. And what's up, Carl? Good to see you as well. Dumbass alert, says Mike. Poor Mike. Poor Mike. The brain cells never quite grew. The brain cells, you know, one of my key reasons for supporting abortion is because I do think life begins at cognizance. Unfortunately, Mike here has me rethinking that notion, as I don't know if he has much cognizance. I don't know. Mike, are you okay, buddy? Are you okay? Second grade was the best 4 years of his life. Who, Donald Trump's? Probably. Probably. Not gonna lie, I Don't Trust Anyone. That's a good song by Suicide Boys, but damn it, I shouldn't have said that right in the beginning. But that's a good song by them. But it's, you know, I don't think that's a healthy routine to have. I think it is very important that you're able to trust people. But I understand, especially with today's politics, how it may be hard to trust people, but I promise you that I would not be leading you guys astray, and the Democrats are the best way forward for the country. What's up, Shavila? Good to see you. Hopefully you're doing well. Hopefully you are doing well. Anyways, folks, feel free to call in if you disagree. My number is right there on the screen. And if I say anything you disagree with, or if you disagree with the prompt, feel free to call in, ladies and gentlemen. Bringing a woman in to clean all the critter loser Trump shit up. I agree, ladies and gentlemen. Democrats has fucked up every time There in office, Obama gave IRA 200 billion. Whoa, that's not true. Whoa, Mike, hold on. That's not true. No, my friend, he only gave them 1.7 billion in funds. No, the person giving them 300 billion would be Donald Trump, my friend. That would have been Donald Trump. Republicans are going to win. Well, not if you go off based off the special election results we've been having. Not if you go off of the special election results we've been having. If you look at those, Democrats win handily, my friend. So, I believe that's cope. I believe that's cope. If you believe this retard, after going through 4 years of 5... Whoa. Wow, I didn't know Mike was that weird. Mike, you're a weirdo, man. Not Mike Frug, although Mike Frug, he's dense, but Mike Hunt here. Why are you thinking about menstrual cycles, bro? That's so weird. I'm sorry. Biden was amazing, my friend. I'm sorry that Biden absolutely checks your dude every time when it comes to policy, when it comes to rhetoric, when it comes to just anything in general. Biden outpaces Trump any day of the week. Maybe in burgers eaten, maybe not. Although Biden's an American, he loves a good burger. Loves a good burger. I'm in the walls? Oh, well that's interesting, High Inquisitor. How is it in there? How is it in the walls right now? Anyways, if you guys are enjoying the stream, by the way, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel and gets me boosted out there in the algorithm. I am but a humble liberal that does 2 streams every day, one in the morning and one in the evening, both centered around politics. Honestly, I would check out the VOD from this morning. I had some interesting things to say about the ICE shooting, but also we made fun of Arch Warhammer and Nick Shirley, and that's always a good time in my opinion, you know? It's always good to make fun of a chud. I think the more chuds you make fun of, an angel grows more wings. Grows another set of wings. 8647 says, Timmy, what's up, Timmy? Hope you're doing well, man. Mr. Joe, I don't think you should be asking that type of stuff in a public forum. I think that's a little weird. Mr. Joe here wants to know if he can pee on me. No, you can't pee on me, sir. All right. There are some things I'm into and some things I'm not into, and pee is one of them. You should take this act to every comedy club in the country. Why, Mike? Why do you think what I'm saying is funny? I'm being very serious, my friend, okay? I'm being very serious. How dare you? How dare you, sir? How dare you insult me? Anyways, guys, feel free to call in if you disagree. We are looking for those that somehow still support the administration. Vote Democrat 44. Love the name, my friend. Absolutely amazing name. I think that is extremely true. Dylan Mulvaney, 2028. There we go, ladies and gentlemen. P for me, not for thee. Yeah, there we go. No, my friends, you're stupid. Fuck, you don't know how to read. Well, apparently you don't know how to write a sentence. He gave 200 billion when you added it up to the IRN and have a completed nuke by 2025 because he hates Jews and America that much. No, the person that's I already had the ability to have a nuke was Obama, who gave them 300 billion, dumbass. That's how they got the nuke facility. No, my friend, they did not get the nuke facility. I would love for you to call in, Mike, because I will absolutely check you on this debate topic. I will check you every time on this debate topic, my friend. Mike here legitimately thinks that Obama gave them 200 billion. When the reality of the situation, like Vote Democrat 44 just pointed out, Obama gave them 1.3 billion. The people that wanted to give them $300 billion was the Trump administration, not the Obama administration. I know Obama lives in your guys' nightmares, but I promise you, that's the reality of the situation. Mics, the mics are not sending their best right now. The mics are not sending their best right now. The least strong warriors right now are being sent by the mics. The Republicans are, go look at the, by the way, the biggest betting odds. They're more accurate than any other poll. And you Democrats have lost 9 points, and now even in the hours, then lost debate. That makes no sense. Oh, so sad. So sad. Trump's spirit animal is herpes. That's what I've actually heard. That's what I heard, actually. That's it's interesting to have a virus as your spirit animal, but it's actually very true if you look at the edges of his mouth. Mikey is a MAGA moron. Very true. Very true. No, Democrats don't win, my friend. This guy is in denial and doesn't know how to fucking read basic pools. He lives with his mom's basement. He's a retard. If you actually study the actual polls from reliable authors... Dude, I can't keep doing this. Listen, man, I'm sorry that you have to cope because you know the Republicans are taking an L in these midterms. This chubby or I gotta give a chud voice. This chubby knob has been indoctrinated by the Max. He's a child, this man. Yeah. Obviously, it was Iran that gave Obama that gave Iran cash. Yeah, 1.3 billion. Not the proposed 300 billion by Donald Trump. So you'd be wrong, actually. Anyways, folks. Please, feel free to call in. This is an open forum. This is an open forum, and I do feel bad for all the MAGA projecting into my chat right now. Listen, Raven, I promise you, love is out there, man. You will get it someday, okay? You do have to treat women with a little bit of respect, though, which is hard for chuds like you. MAGA is so slow, it takes them an hour and a half to watch 60 minutes. That one's good. Oh, that one is good, actually. Anyways, guys, feel free to call in, and if you guys are enjoying the stream, don't forget to like and subscribe. Do not forget to like and subscribe. That one was good. That one was good. What's up, Brian? Good to see you. Hopefully you're doing well. We're getting people are gathering in. I do believe I might be a little shadow banned, unfortunately, so that is a case, but that's all right. We got plenty to talk about. Trump and the Republican Party needs to do everyone a favor and shut the hell up. I totally agree with that. Like this Mike Hunt guy, he is having a schizophrenic episode in my chat right now. Somebody, if you are a loved one of Mike Hunt, please check on him right now. He has not taken his meds today. He is absolutely going bonkers right now in my chat, which I appreciate the engagement. I do. Anyways, I let my stream know that I am live. Also, I'll let, I do need to send the link to a couple people that have asked for it, so let me send that real quick. Anyways, folks, feel free to call in and tell me why I'm wrong. You know, it is an open forum, folks. You have the ability to check me. Republicans love to crash Grindr. That is so true. That is so true. Hey, what up, WTF over? By the way, the conversation, WTF enlightened me yesterday after the stream. The conversation I had with the Groiper. So it turns out he was an underqualified electrician. He's not even a qualified. He was an illegal electrician. Interesting. Both sides are not corrupt if you look at the amount of money Democrats receive versus Republicans. then you will see that the Republicans take far more in cash. And name, I'm sorry that that's something you do in your personal time. I hope it doesn't affect you too much. It must affect you when you're in like public areas, but you know, to each their own, man. To each their own. Anyways, folks, we are just looking for people that disagree with what I have to say or disagree with the prompt. If that's you, type in the number on the screen and call in. Anyways, one momento. Anyways, chill vibes right now. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys disagree with anything I have to say, feel free to call in. You look really dumb. Well, I'm sorry that you think, you see a lack of intelligence where most people see a large amount. I don't know. I'm chilling to some Star Trek lo-fi jazz. Fuck yeah. So if you guys are ever wondering what the music that I use here is, it's Front Mission 4, the official soundtrack of Front Mission 4. So if you guys are ever wanting to jam to some of this music or use it in your own streams, they seem to be pretty good on the copyright. I've never gotten copyrighted by them. And it's a great game too, which I recommend you check out as soon as possible. It really is a good game. I actually had a lot of fun playing Front Mission 4 in my early streams. Hey, Mr. Happy. Is that hell yeah? Trump is helping the people, brother. The Democrats did nothing but support illegal gay, trans, and radical Islam. See, that just doesn't make sense. That just doesn't make sense. You can tell these people, their codes are starting to break as Donald Trump disappoints them more and more, as they want to talk about culture issues. They want to talk about the culture war rather than addressing the issues that every American faces. High gas prices, high cost of living, a crumbling housing market. All of these things Donald Trump is absolutely allergic to actually solve. I like playing Warhammer 40,000 Dawn of War, fun real-time strategy game. Love Dawn of War, great game, great game. Interesting, no mention of the 2020 fake elections, Trump and his allies, 84 to be exact. Elaborate? I don't know what that means. Yeah, I have no idea what that means. Republicans have brain damage? Very true. We're trying to bring him back, though. We're trying to bring him back. Of course it was rigged, just like bringing the Grimmigrants to rig the census. So, what's your evidence that it's rigged? What's your evidence? Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, feel free to call in. Tell me why I'm wrong. I would love to hear from MAGA. Unfortunately, they seem very afraid today. They seem very, what's the word I'm looking for? Scared, potentially? I don't know. I don't want to put those words in their mouth, but they do seem rather scared. They seem as though they are not very apt to trying to defend Donald Trump's most recent actions, and it's impossible to. I mean, this guy is failing on every aspect, so... Anyways, we will have a civil war. See, this is what I fight against, this Defiance Regiment dude. He wants to kill his fellow Americans. He would rather kill his fellow Americans than watch another Pride Parade. Isn't that sad? Isn't that sad, ladies and gentlemen? He would rather try and kill his fellow American than just have an open debate because he knows he's fucked. He knows his ideology is going nowhere soon. And so he has to cope, he has to soy, he has to cry, and he has to, at the end of the day, try and kill, or try and say his fellow American is worth killing. I think that's sad. He did get his fellow Americans killed on January 6th over lies. That's very true. That's very true. Lauren, or hold on, I gotta get her name real quick. Yeah, I forgot it. She's not a memorable woman, I'll be honest. She's just not. Sorry, just responding to some chats, gamers. My gamers in Christ. Anyways, great job blaming the algae experiment on vandalism. I know. I know. Isn't that embarrassing? Again, this guy doesn't know how to take an L. He just doesn't. Libs don't fix anything except for the 2008 financial crisis, except for the 2022 COVID response. But yeah, besides that, they don't do anything. They don't do anything. Double tap the screen, people. Hey, thank you very much, Paul. I appreciate that. They just keep making things gayer, and that's a reason to kill somebody. Interesting. I never thought that would be a reason to harm my fellow Americans, but I guess because we are, you know, we are okay with ourselves and we don't have to be Lindsey Graham, then it's over. Who's talking about killing someone? Your friend, what was his name? Defiance Regiment. He wants a civil war to happen, so Reflecting Pool should be renamed Deadpool. That's not bad, actually. That's not too bad. Libs don't have the House, Senate, SCOTUS, or President. Yeah, but they can't own it. It's always going to be some evil, speculated enemy. Always this shadow government, right? It can never be anything concrete. Because if they actually pointed to something that we could fix, we would fix it and they wouldn't have something to run on. Again, the Republicans are a party of grievances. That's it. They're not for solutions. They're not for actually making our democracy work for us. They are for the billionaires. They are for nepotism. They are for everything America finds repugnant, truly. The Democrats are far, in a way, more patriotic than the Republicans. Yeah, I agree. You know, we don't have all the levers of power. We don't have the necessary levers of power. So any pain you're feeling right now is caused by Republicans, folks. I hope you realize that. Any pain, any issue that you seem to have with the government, that's Republicans, folks. Another foreskin channel? What does that mean? What is a are you asking if I'm cut or uncut? Listen, man. Listen. We have to be a little closer for you to know that, my friend. We got to be a little closer. I know the future. That's interesting, Grievon. Grievin? That's a cool... You should join the X-Men. That's actually pretty cool. Oy vey? Yeah, I know, right? These schmucks out here. These schmucks. Anyways. Don't get angry. Oh, I'm not angry. I didn't see your message earlier. How many assassins attempt on Obama and Biden? I'm not sure, but I know there were multiple on Biden and multiple on Obama. Next survey question. Is Trump missing more than a few screws? Oh, way more than a few screws. Way more than a few screws. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to like and subscribe if you guys are enjoying the stream. I do 2 shows every day, one in the morning and one in the evening. Taco Tuesday. Well, unfortunately, we've received some very distressing news that Donald Trump is going to try and sow doubt into our 2020 election with his primetime television appearance. So I think that's pretty bad. It's horrifying how many people still think 2020 was stolen. I know. And Donald Trump only brings up 2020 because he's going to try the same thing in 2028. He is going to try and do the exact same thing he did with 2020 with 2028. And I think that's incredibly sad. So doubt. Yeah, that's what he's going to try to do, my friend. Again, we've got a lot of cope in chat, but we don't really have any callers right now. Who do you think the next president will be? That's kind of a hard question to answer. I have my personal choices, but we don't know what the issue will be in 2028. My personal candidate that I think would do a great job as president would be Mark Kelly. But I could easily see it going to Jon Ossoff or even somebody on a little more to the left, like AOC, potentially. Maybe not AOC. I think she's a little young. But, no, Vance will not. Vance does not have that thunder, my friend. Andy Beshear's great. I think he's a really good candidate as well. I hope the next president is honest. Yeah, me too. And that's how most presidents have been, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, we can pick out, minor things about what one president has said that could have not been truthful, but there has never been a president that just outright lies to the American people like Donald Trump. Fuck this guy, he sounds crazy! Well, Tom Murphy, I'm sorry to say, but a lot of Americans feel the way I do. A lot of Americans are absolutely disgusted by what this administration is doing, and they're going to let their voices be known. I know who the next president is. Well, I know you can read the future, but I don't know. Farquaad, no, but his name has been through out there. Yeah, a lot of people have been saying people like Andy Beshear. I think it is going to take somebody who is a little more bipartisan and is able to reach the American people and heal this country after the division of Donald Trump, which I think is incredibly sad. I don't think that most Americans hate each other. I really don't. I think most Americans share very common values. But what Donald Trump was able to do was he was able to play on people's patriotism. He was able to play on people's trust. And it's going to be hard regaining that trust after so much has been lost in our institutions as Donald Trump staffs them with underqualified DEI candidates. Like Kash Patel, like Pete Hegseth. Ukraine loses land and joins NATO in return. That actually could be a pretty... That does seem like a reasonable outcome, honestly. I think I would prefer no land be lost, but if it stops the war, then I would be for it. One moment, this is a suspected spam caller. Hey Tony, how are you doing today? That's good. Did you disagree with anything that's been said on the live so far or with the prompt? Okay, so what do you think is going well in the administration right now?
Well, I just generally support most of Donald Trump's policies. I'm not too well educated on economics or immigration, but I generally support Donald Trump because he's significantly less pro LGBTQ than other candidates would be.
Oh, so you don't like gay people?
No, it's not the people; it's the homosexuality and transgenderism, not the people themselves.
Okay, so well, I would disagree, but so that it's legal to marry who you want in America, right? So the law disagrees with you already.
Well, that's kind of the thing in question is whether or not that should be in the law.
That's not in
Well,
question, my friend.
No, whether it should be in the law. I'm talking about an ought claim, not an is claim.
Well, it ought not be excluded from the law because obviously LGBT people have been discriminated against, like by people, like I'm assuming yourself. And I do think they do need protections in the law. So why should we not protect people who have obviously been discriminated against before?
Well, the discrimination is not necessarily a good bad or a good thing. It shouldn't. It's just that the law should not allow those actions to be allowed because they are harmful and bad.
Where do you see the harmfulness?
Well, there was two things I said. They're harmful and bad. They're harmful because they're bad for the human soul.
Bad for. Okay, so this is a religious claim. Am I correct?
Well, sir, I would make the statement that all claims are religious claims. Essentially, they
No,
can be
not
boiled
at
down to
all,
that. But,
sir. Not at all. So, what I would ask is, do you have any basing in the Constitution to believe that man cannot marry another man? And you wouldn't be able to provide me with that. And again, what is our country ruled by? The Constitution, right?
also by the people, sir. So my goal would be to improve the society in order to not support those immoral actions, and then we could vote
But
against
they're only immoral.
homosexuality.
They're only immoral because you believe so, not because the Constitution says it, and more to and to a further extent,
Sir,
because your
sir, sir,
Bible
you're
says so.
sir, you're presupposing your subjective standard of morality when I have an objective standard of morality,
No, you don't have
being
an
God.
objective. Okay, yeah, that is
How?
itself not objective because
How, sir?
people can interpret the Bible in a variety of ways. So I would say it's very subjective. There's a reason we have courts and laws because you know, we're not an ancient civilization that worships the sun god. So I think your entire claim is baseless, to be quite frank. Can you
Okay,
give me a
well, you're
reason
saying, hold
outside
on.
of God? Can you give me a reason outside of your God as to why we should ban LGBT marriage?
Sure. So you made the claim that anybody can interpret the Bible however they want. That means that you can also interpret the Constitution however you want. And I interpret the
Yeah, that's
Constitution
why we
as
have
banning those
courts.
things.
That's why we have courts and laws. And the courts and laws who it's their job to do this disagree with you. So why do you
So,
disagree with them based in our Constitution?
well, I don't necessarily have to appeal in 100% of cases to the Constitution.
No,
I
you
care far
do.
more
No,
about.
that's our law, friend. So any law that is enacted does have to go through that constitutional check.
But this, sir, this is a democracy.
It is a democracy. Well, it's actually a democratic republic, but that's a distinction without a difference. It is, and it's a democracy governed by our constitution. Our constitution is what makes it a democracy.
It's a government of the people, by the people, for the people. So if the people disagree with homosexuality, then homosexuality should not be in the law.
Well, the people don't disagree with homosexuality. Did you know I'm bisexual, sir?
Uh, why should I care, sir?
Well, I just think that it's very interesting the way you're talking about these people as if they're like some like weird subsect of society.
I, sir, I have no idea who you are. You're not that important to me. I just was scrolling my YouTube and thought I'd call you up because I was bored.
Okay. Well, again, can you address any of the claims like any of the arguments I made, or are you just going to keep kind of shifting the
You
goalpost?
haven't. So what you initially said was actually correct. You have made claims. You haven't made arguments. So can you please
Okay,
tell me
here.
why homosexual? Tell me why
Yeah, I can.
homosexuality is okay.
Yeah, for sure. Because we don't rule our society based on a religion, number one. So I don't see why there is a distinction between a man marrying a man and a man marrying a woman. And I think it should be protected as a basic human right.
Okay, well, you're saying our government is not established by religion. Are you familiar with the fact that uh, our government is one nation under God? So we are under the authority
When
and
was
rule
that
of God.
added? When was that added, sir?
What are you referring to exactly, sir?
Do you know what our saying was before one nation under God?
You can make a claim, sure, but you'd also have to give your evidence for that to substantiate the claim.
Okay, yeah, for sure. So go to Google, type in what was our national slogan before one nation under God. Are you able to do that?
Uh, not as of right. I mean, I suppose I could, but your source is essentially ChatGPT. I just vibed it out, bro. I just looked at. I just
No,
gave it a Google search.
I'm going to
So
constitutingamerica.com.
your evidence
.org
is give it a
actually.
Google. Okay.
Well,
Okay.
it's basic laws and it's basic facts, sir.
Regardless, would you like to hear my arguments for why we should base our country off of religion?
No, because our constitution makes it very clear that we are not ruled by a god. So, no,
Okay,
I
sir.
could
What if
care
I could,
less. I could care less
sir,
about your argument.
sir?
If it's
Why?
based in religion, I don't want to hear it.
Everything is based in religion, sir.
Everything is based in religion, huh?
Sure. Would you like the argument for that?
Well, it's kind of insane for you to even claim that. Everything. So, when I
Yeah.
take a piss, it's based in
Yeah.
religion, sir?
Saying
When
it,
I take a
sir,
piss,
sir.
is it. Did God bless my piss, sir?
I didn't say he blesses everything. I said that he is the
Is
cause of
his hand
everything.
in my piss when I take a piss on the pot?
No, sir. That's not my
I
claim.
think it
But
is, right? It
that would
is.
be a religious. That would be
You just said
established
it's in
by.
everything we do, so
Yeah, so God existing as a first cause would mean, sir, that you are only capable of doing that because God chose to create the universe, which includes you, sir.
how
So in the
old is
chain
the
of events,
universe? How old is the universe?
I remain agnostic on that topic, sir.
Oh, why do you remain agnostic? Why don't you just follow it to a T?
Because I don't think there's any evidence for either position.
Yeah, there's no evidence for the Bible's claim of how old the earth is. There's a lot of evidence
What
for
does the Bible claim, sir?
it's made like we were made in like 7 days and we're like 1,000 years old or something. Something crazy.
Sir, are you familiar with the fact that scholar John Walton notes that Genesis 1 is a later creation point? If you would like to say that, then that's fine, sir. But I do not care what your opinion is. I would like to talk about Donald Trump.
Well, I'd like to talk about your insane idea that our country should be based in religion. So, you know what? I'll let you give your argument, please.
Okay, that would be that Christianity alone is capable of providing an objective moral standard. Morality is required for laws, and that means that we must have Christianity in order to have laws.
Why is morality required for laws?
Wait, so you're saying that we can have laws without having things that are wrong?
See, your distinction of right and wrong, it's not just based in morality, sir. It's also based in logic and things like that. So, your claim is it's very dependent on one interpretation of morality.
Okay, sir, so you're saying that we do not need to have morality to have right and wrong? Or to have right and wrong and to have laws?
Yeah, because most laws are logical, right? It's logical not to murder somebody because that would be removing somebody from the population. But also, it would
But what
be
if I don't?
for
Hold
our
on. Now
morals, it would be
this is gonna,
morally wrong.
sir,
But
sir, sir.
again, I don't believe in your definition of morality that it's just like based in the Bible.
Then what's your definition, sir?
What's my definition of morality?
Yes.
I would say the intuition as to whether a action has a positive or negative impact.
Okay, so it's just based off of intuition. What if somebody's a psychopath with a false intuition? Does that make them moral if they kill somebody?
No, not at all, because we would also base it on the surrounding people's intuition as well. It wouldn't just be a one
So
person's
essentially,
intuition.
so essentially, I was correct in saying that it's subjectivity.
Did I ever claim that morality wasn't subjective?
I made that claim, sir, and you have just proven it for me. Thank you, sir.
So you
All right,
agree morality is subjective?
No, sir, you need to work on
That's
your
what
listening
you
skills.
just fucking said. How do you disagree?
As for
That's
me, my
literally
Walmart
what you
delivery
just
order is
said.
here, so you can do your little crash out on your
Sir,
stream.
that is literally what you just said. Now, I know you meme cucked yourself, and I'll let you dig yourself out of that hole, but you did just claim morality was subjective.
Thank you.
Oh, fuck. Somebody got upset. Damn, that dude just got owned, bro. That's insane. Whoa, brother. Whoa, Nelly. Hold on. Yeah, why'd he quit? That's very cucked in my opinion. Anyways, if you guys are enjoying the stream, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel and gets me boosted out there in the algorithm. He just said so. It's subjective, so you agree with me. Yeah, he said his claim is that it wasn't subjective, but he kind of meme cucked himself by saying, "Oh, so yeah, morality is subjective." Because yeah, it would be based on other people's intuition. That's interesting. Damn, I was expecting a good call with that, man. Kind of sad. Both sides are not rigged and evil, my friend. The Democrats are by far and away better to vote for if you care about things like rights, if you care about things like your grocery bill going down. All of these things the Democrats will help with, and a variety of other things. Yeah, that was an interesting call. I mean, he could have just said he was wrong, but instead he got upset and soyed out. Poor guy. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, if you disagree with anything I have to say, feel free to call in the number right there and we can have a good discussion. Also, if you guys are enjoying the stream, like and sub, it helps out the channel. And if you guys support what I do here, consider sending a super chat or buying a membership. Both are great ways to support what I do here. Hell yeah. Anyways, he crushed me? I don't think he crushed me, sir. He crushed himself. I didn't really need to do much. He just fucked himself, man. Like, I really didn't need to do much there. I just asked a couple questions and his entire worldview fell apart. It's insane. Yeah, that's not good. See, my ideology is based in liberty and freedom and justice for all, and I don't think I would crumble that easily if asked a couple questions. Doesn't matter what party it is, they are both enough. Oh, never mind. Got retracted as soon as I was reading it. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, our Constitution makes it very clear. No religion in politics. Commies suck. Well, guess what, my friend? I'm not a communist. I believe in private ownership. I am a classic liberal. I wouldn't call myself a classical liberal, but I would say I'm a pretty classic liberal. I believe in a strong social safety net for the people that are not good at, that are not great at capitalism. But anyways, oh geez, Benjamin Netanyahu is in my chat. Listen, man, you've got enough to worry about with yourself. I don't want any advice coming from Netanyahu right now, okay, man? Okay? You've got a lot to deal with, bubs. You've got a lot to deal with right now. Hail Santa Claus? Hail Satan Claus? Both are acceptable. Both are acceptable. Let me know how great America is right now. We're still amazing. I still think we're a great nation. And on the local level, it's really devoid of a lot of this national political discourse. Unfortunately, right now, the people voted for an isolationist that didn't believe in the values of our democracy. So Democrats can't even run their own cities. That's why California's GDP is the 4th largest, not only in America, but the world, ladies and gentlemen. That is why. I've just voted in Islamic extremist. Within the next decade, in what direction do you think we are heading? I think we'll probably... So what I think will happen immediately after Trump is there will be a rebirth of values of democracy and a lot of people that are willing to fight to get our democracy fixed. what will happen after that wave of Democratic fervor, it's really anybody's guess. I think we'll obviously remain a capitalist country, but I do think there will be more social programs introduced. But yeah, I think that we're going to be on a good track once Donald Trump is out of office. Unfortunately, we got to deal with the last breaths of the dying Republican Party before we can actually do that. These YouTubers are only on here to divide you and stop you from going against the government. Listen, man, I'm sorry Donald Trump disappointed you, okay? I'm sorry. They've run California into the damn ground. Well, that's not true. California's doing great. If that's what the ground looks like, can somebody put Kansas on the ground? Fuck. I don't vote, you weak straced. Oh, so why would we even listen to you? Why would we even listen to you? Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, feel free to call in. We are looking for those that still support the administration. Oh, excuse me. Looks like it might be a little bit of a slow night tonight as MAGA is getting back to their jobs, which is totally fine. Totally fine. But it might be a little bit of a slow night. Why is everybody going to Texas from Cali? Well, that's actually a fake news. For example, you see a lot of people bring up how Tesla moved their headquarters from California to Texas. But what they don't tell you is that that transfer went so poorly that they had to move their engineering headquarters back to California. False equivalency! Well, why don't you call in, man? Why don't you call in? Something tells me it's because you guys are a bit of cowards, unfortunately. And much like the last person, you'll fold. Inevitably. Inevitably, ladies and gentlemen. And listen, I don't hate the Republican Party. I truly don't. I wish there was a much more reasonable Republican Party, but unfortunately, this Republican Party has completely sold its soul to fascism, and it needs out of here. It needs out of here. What's the point in arguing over which masters to rule you? Oh my God. See, this person just doesn't even understand the idea of America. You know, we vote on those people, right, man? See, he has just completely sold to this idea that our democracy doesn't work. And it's because of people like Donald Trump who sowed doubt into our democracy 24/7. And it's not both parties, folks. The Democrats are by far and away the better party to vote for, whether it be things like healthcare, like affordability, multiple different other aspects. There are amazing reasons to vote for the Democratic Party. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we are just looking for people that disagree. If that's you, feel free to call in. Unfortunately, MAGA soys out a lot, and they are deathly afraid to debate me. And that's understandable. That is understandable, ladies and gentlemen. Imagine having faith in the Democrats! I've looked at their actions, and they are absolutely the party to vote for. MAGA aren't very smart. Very much agree, Chadwick. Anyways, if you guys are enjoying the stream, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel and gets me boosted out there in the algorithm. I do 2 shows every day, one in the morning and one in the evening. MAGA sucks, but so does the Democrats. That's not true, my friend. The Democrats are the only party to vote for if you actually want to see real change in the country. Are you okay? You are poor, MW? I'm sorry to hear about that, man. Hopefully you get your bread up. If you believe in the Democratic policies, you're a fool! Well, that's why we see amazing results from these democratic policies, like people starting businesses and the GDP of a given state that inherits democratic policies going up. Isn't that interesting? Why are all the Republican states always running at a negative? Well, that's because their policies suck and they're not able to actually affect real change. You are just impossible. That's what we see. Such great possibilities from Democrats that it's fake news. Well, it's not fake news, my friend. Look at the results. Look at the results, ladies and gentlemen. Democratic Party needs to be abolished. Why? We're doing exactly what a party is supposed to be doing, allowing multiple different members to come up and become their own people. It's just you guys who believe we need one central person to worship. Why? Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from? Cotton Eye Joe. That's always a question I've always wondered personally, and Cotton Eye Joe really does need to establish why he's here. You know what I mean? He really does. Two parties is not democracy? It totally is, my friend. What, do you want like disparate parties everywhere to just be elected and like fade out of existence like that? Anyways, don't forget to like and subscribe, guys. It really helps out the channel and gets me boosted out there in the algorithm.
Call from
Frederick.
To accept, press 1. To send a voice.
Hey, Frederick, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing well. So, did you disagree with anything I've said on the live so far or with the prompt?
Yeah, I have one comment.
Okay. What would that be?
You mentioned that you were bi, and I just want to let you know that we the people do not.
Okay. Yeah, I know, and I want to keep it that way.
Can you repeat that real quick? I'm sorry.
Yeah, I know, and I want to keep it that way, my friend.
Then why did you mention it?
Because the other person before you was making comments about how homosexuality is very bad, so I brought up how I'm bisexual.
And everything he said was correct.
Oh, really? So you believe that we are a Christian nation, huh? Everything he said was correct? I mean, he kind of owned himself. Did you not see that?
I think you owned yourself, sir.
So you realize
think he
that
absolutely
his argument, you realize his argument was morality is not subjective. It's based in something.
Oh,
And then he brought
I
up.
understand everything he was saying.
And then he said, oh, well, then it's subjective. And then he fucked himself. So.
I think you're digging yourself into a hole.
You want to try defending that? Do you think morality is not subjective?
No, I'm not really in the mood right now. I just want to let you know that you're absolutely insane,
You would get
sir.
absolutely owned, bro. You're scared. Scaredy cat.
Tony is back. Tony is back, baby.
What? Sir, is Tony like your schizophrenic double?
No, Tony is the man who called back before when you admitted you were bi.
Oh, so you got your brother to
Tony
call me
and
because you got so embarrassed? That's embarrassing, man.
No. Frederick's just my good friend. We've been having some beers and yep, sitting by the campfire.
Kissing?
That sounds like something you would enjoy doing, but no.
So, I mean, the situation you describe is extremely homoerotic, sir. So it sounds like you guys are enjoying gay sex even
Drinking beer and cooking s'mores on a campfire is what?
Yeah, it's very homoerotic, my friend. I would not be surprised if you guys were kissing secretly, and that's why you hate it so much.
as you are demonstrating, you have a very easy way of perverting everything, sir. That's what your kind loves to do.
My kind?
Yes, your specimen.
Okay. I didn't know I was a
Good
different
boy.
breed of human. That's insane.
Oh no, I didn't say a different breed of human. I meant
You
like
just said
some sort
specimen.
of
You realize a
alien.
specimen is... Oh, I'm an alien. That's sick. How do I unlock my alien powers?
You seem like the type to believe in conspiracy theories, sir. I mean, you do have a lip piercing and an eyebrow piercing.
Again, with
That's
the
how I can tell.
homoerotic comments, you're like, oh, you know
What?
what my theory is with you guys that hyper obsess about piercings? You're like, that dude's a little hot. I think that's what you're thinking, sir. You know, here's a funny thing. When I was back in the closet, I faked throwing up when like gay stuff would be talked about, just like that, actually.
I don't care what you did when you were in the closet.
Well, I just think it's applicable because I don't think most people that are straight just
Your
like
mom is applicable.
immediately act like that. As applicable as your mom was last night when I was plowing her while your dad sat in the corner.
I thought you liked
Don't
men.
worry, he got into the action too, my friend. That was just later on in the night.
Sir, you only have 1.335 thousand followers. That's kind of embarrassing. How long you been doing this for?
I actually have 18,000 followers or 1,800 followers, and for a couple months.
A couple months? Is this your full-time job?
No.
Let me guess, you're a gay prostitute.
See, like, that's more perverted thinking than anything I was saying. You are just straight up thinking that every gay person is a prostitute. You don't see the issue with that?
We're just speaking your love language.
You okay, man? I think you've watched too many gay pornos that you think that that's how gay people act.
But I ain't never done that, sir. Sir, I completely baked you, by the way.
No, not at all, sir. You literally were arguing that morality wasn't subjective, and then in your own statement said morality was subjective. Take an L.
I said
Learn
granting
how
your...
to take an
No, I was
L,
saying...
my friend. Learn how to
I
take an
said
L.
then... Sir, I was granting your presuppositions and internally critiquing your worldview and showing a reductio ad absurdum, sir. I was saying if morality is an instinct, then you would be completely false, and you'd have to say that it's subjective, which I disagree. It's not an instinct. I was saying instinct, therefore subjective, but it's not.
No, you're
not an
missing.
instinct,
It's
therefore
intuition, not instinct, sir.
same thing. That's
No,
another
it's
distinction
actually
without a
not the
difference.
same thing. What? Holy shit. Are you this is what, guys, I warn against homeschooling because this is what it will produce.
Sir, you dropped out of like 4th grade.
No. But you can believe that if you
Please,
want.
okay, please demonstrate the distinction between something being between something being an instinct and something being an intuition.
Yeah, intuition is commonly referred to as like what you're thinking as well as your lived experiences and what the lived experiences that add up to what you're thinking. Instinct is much more a primal urge, and not based in your past life experiences.
Okay, I am willing to admit I misspoke, but either way, it does reduce to subjectivity. I was not granting that it is
No,
an intuition or
you were
instinct.
giving, no, what you were saying is, then I will repeat your words. You said, then you would say it's subjective. And I agree. So can you please tell me how
Yes, I was saying you would. I was saying I would.
Yeah, why don't you just tell me how morality isn't subjective? Sad that you had to
okay.
you had to tell your friend to call me, by the way.
So you're saying it is subjective, right?
Yes.
Okay. So then tell me, if my opinion is to do something which would be considered terrible, like murdering somebody, why is that wrong if it's subjective?
Because we don't just base one laws and regulations off of one person's interpretation of morality. It is based not only in law, which supersedes
Oh,
morality,
okay.
but it is
So
based
what
in the
about
experiences of everybody else as
okay? So
well.
what about 1940s Germany?
Yeah, so they would, I mean, are we talking about what they thought was good? Because I would say that in their own
If it's
worldview, what
based
they
off
were
the
doing
culture,
is good,
if it's
but I would say what
if it's
ultimately they did was very bad.
okay, so that's just your opinion, though, right? So in their culture, it
Whoa,
was
wait, do
okay,
you
and since
defend?
culture,
Wait, just my opinion. Hold on. Go back on that. Beep, beep, beep. It's bad just in general, right? Not just my opinion. It's your opinion that what they did
yes,
in
sir, I'm working
1940.
under your worldview. Under your worldview, it's just your opinion.
No, it's the collective opinion of not just one individual, but a set of individuals.
Okay, so you're saying if it's based off of the culture and a set of individuals, if a set of
I
individuals
never
agree
said
with
culture,
Nazism,
did
then
I?
Nazism is true.
Did I ever say culture? No, I didn't. So what you would say is, well, in that sphere, it was accepted. To the wider majority of people, it was repugnant. And so the consensus is that it's immoral because the wider majority of people disagreed with it.
But they didn't in that culture at that time.
Yes, but we're not just including that culture at that time. We're also including the entire world in that decision. So, in their purview, in that very specific
Okay, well, there
sphere,
was a time when the
hold on,
consensus was
let me
that slavery is
speak,
okay.
bro. Let me speak. I know you're getting
You're
cooked,
mo-
but let me talk. So, in that sphere, it was morally good. However, in the wider sphere of humanity, it was morally bad. Do you see how these things work? Again, you just got
It
owned,
didn't-
sir. You brought up an
Okay, we'll
example
go
of
with the.
Nazi
Hold
Germany,
on.
and yes, subjectively, they did think it was good. However, subjectively to the rest of the world, it was bad. So you're just proving your point, or
Okay,
my
so since
point.
both are subjective, why should I favor one opinion over the other if they're both subjective?
Yeah, because the wider majority includes not just that sphere, but the collection of humanity, which is more eyes on it, and also just majority rule in that situation.
So, an ad populum and mass appeal fallacy.
It's not a mass appeal fallacy because it actually applies to the argument.
It's certainly an ad populum.
I don't know what that is. Can you tell me?
Appeal to popularity.
Appeals to popularity, but in my reasoning in my basis for the definition of subjective morality, it would require both of those. So again, you're just cooked, bro.
No, actually, you're proving my point because if being fallacious is built into your argument, then your argument is just terrible.
Being fallacious is built. How is my argument fallacious?
You just conceded that it's based off of the popularity. Appealing to popularity is a
I
fallacy,
didn't
which
say
means
that
your
was the
argument is a fallacy.
only. I didn't say that was the only aspect. Good try. Good job trying to
You
pivot
can,
me into that. But obviously, it's not the only issue brought up. It's not just how popular it is. It's not just how many people agree with it. It's also based in logic as well.
Bro, you have some listening issues. I think you might be a little bit high. Have you been
So,
doing pop?
sir, this seems like this is a common tactic. When you're getting cooked, you're just gonna try and insult and deflect. Why don't you engage with my argument, pussy? Because you can't. Because you're
You don't
not
have one.
smart enough to do it.
No, I
That's
can't because you
why
don't have one.
I don't have an argument. So my argument is, no, this is what we were debating the entire time. Don't run back and say, oh, you don't have an argument. You know damn well what my argument is. It's that morality is subjective. And you have brought absolutely zero evidence to the contrary.
Would you like me to attempt to perform a steel man of the position?
No, I would like you to actually fucking engage and argue your point instead of acting like a
Yeah,
pussy.
part of engaging
Yeah,
would
I
be
want you to
understanding the
stop
argument. Would
acting
you like
like
me
a
to show?
pussy. I want you to stop acting like you know what I'm arguing. So actually try and answer for it instead of deflecting like you're
Okay, so
doing right
your
now.
point is that it's based off of laws of logic and also the popular opinion. My point would be that if the popular opinion is that something is like Nazism or slavery is right, which slavery was universally accepted by the unoppressed, so that would mean that it is right, correct?
So this is there's a fallacy here, right? Where it's like historical fallacy. I don't remember the name, but you're basing today's morality how they saw.
You just
Hold on,
vibed
you're
out, sort
basing
of.
today's morality based on how they saw it back then. Back then, yes, it was moral to own slaves. Now it's not.
Okay, so to clarify, slavery
Cooked.
was moral at a time.
Cooked. Oh my god, you're an L machine.
To clarify,
bro.
slavery was right at a time.
By our laws today or our morality today, definitely not. But during the time period, yes.
Okay, so there was a time in which slavery was right. Baked, cooked,
Yes.
baked.
What? Do you think that was a hard thing to answer? Yes.
Okay, well then I guess I'll just leave it there then. That's fine.
Hey, people, you heard it himself. He thinks slavery's right.
I didn't say that.
It was at a time.
It was right at a time, but now it's not.
Okay. So slavery was right.
During the time period during which there was slavery, I would not think that it would impugn somebody's moral character to have slaves. No.
I'll give it to you.
See, again, you just can't engage with the argument. You're just so bad at this. And I love how you try to bring out
I'm
like
fine.
these. You try to be like, this is a fallacy. You're appealing to, and yet you're still getting cooked by just some dude. Kind of sad.
I'm
Do you
willing
have
to give it
any
to you,
like
sir.
arguments for why morality isn't subjective?
You are the argument for that. Essentially, I mean, you are literally proving my point, which is that if it's changing, it just becomes arbitrary completely, right?
No, not at all.
Okay, I mean, you already conceded, though, sort of, to
No,
some
it's
extent,
the
by
common,
saying that
it's
something
the
which is
common
immoral.
consensus amongst people. Yeah. So it's not arbitrary. I think the whole world would agree murder is bad. I think the whole world would agree that you shouldn't steal.
At that point, why can't I just change the opinions of the majority and then just enforce whatever I want?
You could, but you would have to change the entire world's consensus, and that would have to cross cultures, have to cross boundaries.
Would it be
have
wrong for me to do that?
borders. Depending on what you want to implement. I mean, if you want to implement
be
like a
objectively wrong?
theocratic society, yes, I think that's wrong by today's morality for sure.
Sir, I don't care about today's morality. Today's morality can change in the blink of an eye.
No, it can't. Do you think it's going to be legal to murder somebody overnight?
No, because humans know better. The
Oh,
thing is, though,
but
that
why do they
if
know better? Hold on, sir. Why do they know better?
they
If it's up to
Because
you,
God.
wouldn't it be based in the
No, it's not.
Bible? And not everybody has
that's
read the
an objective
Bible.
standard.
Not everybody has read the Bible.
I'm not saying that morality comes from the Bible. I'm saying it comes from God.
That was literally your argument until you realized you were debating somebody that actually knew something about what you were talking about. So try again.
Oh,
Loser.
sir,
Oh no, did I call you the L word?
I said no. I do not care what you say, retard. Anyway,
Whoa, whoa. Careful now.
Why?
So, what's your arguments for why morality isn't subjective? Please, bro.
That would essentially be that it cannot be. It has to be unchanging.
When do we see that in history?
I don't. Wait, where do we see in
So
history?
what you're arguing for is that morality should no longer be subjective. That would be your argument, not that
Nope.
morality is subjective. Oh, or isn't subjective.
My argument is that morality exists because of God, and that would mean that since God has always existed and has never changed, that would mean that morality has always existed and has never changed either.
So you understand how this is an appeal to a higher authority? And you're just essentially saying, well, God did it all, so I don't really need to defend my reasoning.
You, sir, I don't think you understand what an appeal to authority is, sir.
No, you're appealing to the ultimate authority, God. So please try again. What is the reason for
It
why
would have to be.
Because your entire argument is based in a book. Sorry, man, but I don't read that book.
Nope.
And I still know it's
No.
not okay to murder people.
Yeah, that's my point, is that without even reading it, it's just ingrained into your nature, sir.
Oh. So, wait, I have a question. Can I talk shit about my parents?
No. Why?
Well, would I be free to? Can I do that?
No. No, you shouldn't. I know what you're going to talk to too, and I fully agree with
Yeah,
that
you
statement in
know
that passage.
exactly what I'm gonna bring up, don't you?
I said I agree with it. I said I agree with that. That should be the law.
But it's not. Why is that? If we based all of our
Because-
morality in the Bible, then why is it legal for me to talk shit on my parents?
I'm not saying that we currently do. I'm saying that we should.
See, you're constantly shifting the goalpost from we based all of our morality in the Bible to we should be basing our morality in the Bible. I know you're very bad. You can't.
No.
No,
We should be.
that
We
is.
are not.
That is what you're doing.
Can you let me speak, please, sir? Or
Are you
a
going to
little
actually
scared?
contend with my argument, or are you just going to
Yeah.
keep doing this
Yes.
sad mealy mouth
Yeah,
bullshit?
Yeah, so what you were saying is that I was saying we should base our morality. I wasn't saying that. I was saying that our morality does come from God, but I was saying that our laws should come from the Bible.
So you think it should be illegal? You think it should be illegal to talk shit on your parents?
Yeah.
Why? Besides just the 10 Commandments, give me a reason. Give me a logical reason to the harm that could come from me talking shit about my parents. Go.
Again, it's harmful to the soul.
Oh my God. Well, guess what, buddy? I don't got a soul. So try another reason.
Can you substantiate your claim that you just made? I would
memeing.
disagree with that.
I'm memeing. Yeah, I'm memeing.
Memeing
You
you
ever
can't
heard of
take
a meme?
seriously.
It's a joke. Like your Bible.
Yes, I have. Oh, can you also demonstrate that claim, please?
Yeah, there's multiple contradictions in the Bible. Sir, what does the Bible say about a fetus?
What?
What does the Bible say about a fetus? What is a fetus considered in the Bible?
I'm not sure what you're referring to.
You know what I'm referring to. You're very smart, sir, when it comes to theology.
In this case, I'm not entirely sure what you are referring to.
It's referred to as property.
Where would that be?
Let me get the exact verse, because I'm not a theologian. Oh,
Nor am I, sir. I'm just a bored guy trolling with a fake accent and baking you on your arguments.
So do you actually believe the positions you have?
Yes.
Okay, though you haven't been baking me on my arguments. Okay, got you.
No, that's true.
What have you cooked me on?
I got you to concede that at a time slavery was right.
Yeah, so what's your disagreement with that? Why don't you bring up an actual factual argument as to why that's not true? Because slavery is allowed in the Bible. You know that, right, sir?
Yeah. That's
Yeah,
of a
so
different
we would
type
still
than.
have slavery. We would still have slavery.
Yeah, but it
So
would be of
you're
an
even
entirely
more
different.
I mean, I didn't want to dig into this point because, I wanted to let you have that supposed win, but we can get into it. In your book, it's totally fine to own slaves. So we would still have slavery
Have
if we
you
based. Go on.
have you read your critiquing?
Yes, I used to be a Baptist, sir.
I don't believe you for 1 minute, but have you read the book of Philemon?
Philemon? You mean Solomon?
Philemon.
Philemon. That's not a book in the fucking Bible.
You dummy. Yes, it is.
Philemon? Maybe I didn't hear you right.
Philemon.
Lemon. Yeah, you're just memeing.
No.
You're just memeing. You're so cute. That's funny.
You really don't know what I'm referring to? It does exist.
Philemon?
Spell out what you're saying, sir.
Why don't you spell it for me again? Maybe I'm getting something wrong. So Cilemon.
No. P, as in Peter.
P.
H, as in hot.
Oh, you're talking about something. Yeah, why did you say it like that? Philemon.
I have a very terrible mic.
Philemon.
My microphone is terrible. Yes,
Yeah.
Philemon or Philemon.
So haven't read this
Where-
part, but who knows?
Yeah, because you haven't read it because you don't know what you're talking about.
I've read it. I've read it before. But again, sir,
Oh, I thought you just.
why do we have? I know the Constitution, and I think that's all our founders needed me to know. So, why don't you want to base it in that? Like, shouldn't we base it in the laws that are like kind of already on the books instead of totally doing a huge revolution for Christian
Nope,
nationalism?
the laws that are on the books are not good enough.
Oh, so what are you gonna do to get? What's your plan, sir?
I don't necessarily have a plan. I'm seeking to establish that my viewpoint is correct, which I've done fairly well.
You've been kind of absolutely stomped on most of these points. Sorry, I didn't know about the Book of Philemon, but
How did you hold on? You didn't know? How did you read it if you don't know about it?
Yeah, I think it's called something else, isn't it? It's not called the Book of Philemon, is it?
There's different pronunciations. You could pronounce it as
Yeah, what is it
Philemon.
actually called? What do
What do you think?
most people in the New Testament call it?
What? What do they call it?
I'm asking you.
Sir, there are not other references to the name of the person who is called Philemon
So wait,
in the Book of Acts
It's not a
or any
book,
other
is it?
part.
It's not a book, is it?
No, do you have functioning ears? Are you deaf?
Well, you
I said
referred
there are
to
no
it as if it
cross
was a
references.
book. You referred to it as if it was a book in the Bible, and that's why
It-
you were like, "Oh, epically owned."
It literally tells you to bring your slaves back, not as slaves, but as friends.
Well, that's great. There's also a bunch of other pieces that say it's, treat your slaves well and all that. Like, sorry, man. I think there's more
Oh, wait, hold on.
references to.
So hold on. So you just quoted the verse. Sir.
Sir, again, like my great patron here, Topcorn Bisky, says, who the fuck cares about what the Bible says? I don't. I'll be honest. I don't care what the Bible says. So I've entertained
you
this derail long enough. Please tell me why morality isn't subjective.
Because if it is subjective, then that would mean that anyone's opinion, if they are able to persuade the culture, is equally valid. Would you agree?
anyone's opinion, if they're able to persuade the culture, is equally valid, yeah. Do you have any evidence to show that that's not true?
Yeah, so that would just simply be that if I am able to convince the culture of Christianity, would that make it true?
It would make the claim that if you're able to shift it, it would still fall within the bounds of subjective morality, though. And you would only be able to influence that sphere in which you are inhabiting. You wouldn't be able to subject the entire world to that morality view, or that view that the Bible
What
is.
if I was able to persuade the entire world? Would that make it universally true for everyone in the
Well,
world?
you're gonna have to find some, like, those buckets that Plankton wore. Plankton put SpongeBob in. You're gonna have to find a lot of those. He
Sir,
even put King
it's
Neptune
a
in that
hypothetical.
motherfucker. Your hypothetical is absolutely not based in reality, though. So why? It's like asking, what if this
Okay, but
sky
if
is purple? I don't know. What if the sky is purple?
you are so, have you ever taken an IQ test, sir?
See, again, just constantly trying to ad hom, trying to insult instead of
No,
actually
you
engaging with
don't.
the argument.
No, sir, it's called
So
rhetoric. I don't know if you know what rhetoric is.
why should I accept your outlandish uh situation? Why should I accept that? If it's not possible,
Okay, let's say that.
if it's because I know you're not going to be able to convince the entire world, okay?
Okay,
So
let's
why
take
would
it
I
more
engage with
reasonable.
that?
If there's a 50-50 split, an exact 50-50 split on a matter of morality, who is right?
Nobody.
So nobody. What? So hold on. It's possible in a yes or no situation for nobody to be right if one is saying, if it has to be either yes or no, there can be no
Why
correct
does it
answer
have
in a
to
yes or
be?
no.
I don't accept this dichotomy, bro. What are you talking? If it has to be yes or
So,
no, when
my.
when are laws implemented like this? I don't think they ever are.
I'm saying if
Where there's
let's
a
hypothetically say
50-50
there's.
split. Well, in that case,
Yeah, sure.
the spheres would be created out of that 50 split. And so one side would think one thing, the other side would think another thing, and it would be dependent on what sphere you're in.
Okay, so what if everyone who still to this day is like supports Nazism or something, if they split off and start their own sphere, does that make it okay in their sphere to be a Nazi?
In their sphere, yes, but not in the wider sphere of the culture in which they live in. Is this
Sir,
hard to
then that
understand?
would.
You asked about my IQ. Sir, how is this hard to understand? Did you take
No, I'm
civics
fully
class?
comprehending your worldview. Sir, I'm fully comprehending your worldview.
Yeah, and
I just am
you're trying
showing
to
you
poke
that
holes in
it's
it, but it's locked
conservative.
tight, sir. It's locked tight. You can't. You're trying.
I'm
You
just
can keep
very.
trying.
Okay, well then that would mean okay, let's keep following your line of logic then, sir. You were saying that it was wrong for God to command slavery in the Bible. However, that was its own sphere where everyone agreed with it. So anything that
Did I
God
ever
does,
say
that
it was
means is.
wrong? Hold on, sir. I ever say it was wrong?
Oh, okay, so it isn't.
Based on the cultural context of when the Bible was written, it probably wasn't wrong to own slaves.
All right, I'll give it to you then.
What? That morality is subjective?
No. No.
Okay, so we're still gonna keep going on this. Please, you haven't
No.
disproved it yet. You've tried to show logical fallacies where they don't exist. You've tried to claim that everything you've tried to claim it's based in the Bible, which you weren't able to do that because of the example of talking shit on my parents. So, like, can you please try harder or just concede that morality is subjective?
Well, I mean, at this point, it's not even worth it at this point to continue.
Yeah, because you've been epically owned.
No, there's just now clarity, but still disagreement. So.
Well, try to convince me, sir. If you're going to convince the entire world to be a
You
Christian
are unconvincing.
majority, why don't you try to convince me? If you can't
Sir,
convince me,
sir,
you're not convincing the entire world. I'll just tell you that right now.
that situation never intended to actually happen, sir.
You never intended to convince me?
I don't know. I don't know who you are as a person, so now I do know that you are very stubborn. So
I'm not stubborn at all. I'm just all I've done is you've asked me a question, I've answered it, you didn't like my answer, and then you pivoted. That's what's happened in this entire conversation.
all right, sir. Well, at this point, I've gotten you to concede that slavery in a certain culture and Nazism in a certain culture are both correct, and whatever God commanded in the Old Testament was correct in that
If
time.
you think that, then you are the low IQ individual you were talking about earlier.
I'm simply saying that you conceded that because you did.
I conceded that within their sphere of influence, yes, it would be acceptable, but not within the wider sphere known as humanity. So,
Okay, well, I will take what I can get there, sir.
all right, man. Well, good luck convincing all of humanity to worship your God. I'm not gonna do
Never
it,
said I
but
wanted to do that, sir, but
you did.
okay.
I mean, it's pretty implied with some of your statements. But all right, have a good day with your gay boyfriend. I'll see you later, man. Shout out, we need more pro LGBT people calling in, let me tell you. Anyways, if you guys are enjoying the stream, don't forget to like and subscribe. I don't know why he thought any of those ideas would trip me up.
Call from. To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail.
Hey, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you today?
I am doing well. Did you disagree with anything I've said on the live so far or with the prompt?
The prompt. So I was just, I've listened to your channel before, slash watch your channel before, and I just have a statement I would like to say, and I'll take my comment off the air. And I challenge you to be respectful of it.
Be respectful of what?
You are an entropy engine. I cannot
Entropy
stabilize you.
engine.
I cannot convince you.
No, that's not true.
You need
sir.
validation,
That's not
and
true.
I will not agree with you.
Well, I don't need validation. What
Thank
I'm
you.
asking for is a simple argument. Oh. Whoa. Oh my god. Mic drop. Holy. He just dropped the mic. I wasn't expecting that.
Call from.
Apparently I'm an entropy
Jacob?
engine.
To accept, press 1.
That's a
To
cool
send a
name.
voicemail, press 2.
I'm going to put that in my YouTube bio. Hey, how are you doing today, Jacob?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. I just stumbled upon your stream. I don't disagree with anything that you're saying, but I just wanted to ask
Yeah.
a couple of questions as to what do you think like the Democrats could do specifically to get America back in a better place? Because I agree with you that Donald and his entire cabinet has really flipped America upside down, but I'm just curious as to what you think the Democrats could do to change that.
Yeah, for sure. So I think there's actually a lot of systematic changes we could make that would get our democracy actually working for us. The first thing I would do is get rid of the filibuster. I think
Right.
it's a good thing when we're more bipartisan, but as of right now, we are much more divided, and so the margins are
Definitely.
super
Yeah.
thin. And so I would first get rid of the filibuster. The next thing I think we should do is uncap the House. A lot of people don't feel represented by their representatives, and that's unfortunately because one representative represents about 800,000 people when our
Right. Yeah.
founders and the Constitution makes it pretty clear that it should only be about 30 to 50,000 people. And so I think uncapping the House would give people that representation they feel is really missing. And it would also help in the fact that these PACs can't donate as much to House members because now you've really got to spread your money around. Um,
Hmm.
that's a separate issue, though. The third thing I think we need to do, we got to add 4 more justices to the Supreme Court. I think they're unfortunately the way that the Supreme Court is captured by the right now makes their rulings not really based in the Constitution, but also they seem to have the opinion that they can make new laws from the bench by either overruling previous laws or making rulings that are kind of coercive for states.
Right.
So
Yeah. Of
that
course.
that that would be the third thing I would do. There's some other things like repealing Citizens United, which I think we can even get a bipartisan approval for. People are upset with these PACs donating.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
and there's I think in terms of like what would help the American people, I think uh I think passing a public option would drastically reduce healthcare prices. So there's a lot of things that I think we're going to be able to do once we take power.
Okay. Well, yeah, I was just curious what you thought. I don't want
Of
to take up
course.
too much of your time, but I appreciate you answering the call, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Hey, you too, brother. Thanks for calling in. I appreciate the support.
No problem. You too, man.
Peace out. Hey, good call. That was a good call. I appreciated that. He didn't call me an entropy engine, which is nice. I didn't that's a new one to me. An entropy engine. I'm gonna put AKA the entropy engine. That'll be pretty cool. Most chill person who's called in. Yeah, super cool, dude. Anyways, if you guys are enjoying the stream, do not forget to like and subscribe. It really does help out my channel, and we're growing every day. And that's because of my amazing supporters that I have. And I wouldn't be here without you guys. So thank you guys so much. But you wouldn't know that because you're a brainwashed clown. I'm assuming you're talking about one of the MAGA in chat. Too bad Democrats just want to flood our country with illegal criminal migrant R-wording and killing people. Yep, how'd you know? We're trying to. We're trying to until that dastardly Trump. He did it! He stopped it! No! So stupid. So stupid. The anti-pope will take over the U.S. That's me. In case you guys were wondering, I'm the anti-pope. So, God, you guys have such a problem with like naming some of the things you hate as some of the coolest things in the world. An entropy engine? Fuck yeah, I'll take that title. Fuck yeah, I'll take that title, man. Are you joking? What was the other one they said? I'll take that any day of the week, you know what I mean? Hey, what's up, Mary? How are you doing today? Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget to like and subscribe. I do 2 shows every day, one in the morning and one in the evening. So if that interests you guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. And by the way, shout out to Shavila, hold on. I'm not saying her name right, and I need to make sure I say it right. So, shout out to Shavala. There we go. Shout out to Shavala for that. I appreciate it. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we are looking for people that disagree and want to debate that this administration is doing well or disagree with anything I say. No? Did I say it wrong? Please don't tell me I said it wrong. Please. I tried, okay? Yeah, W to Chev there. Shavala, Shavila, whatever it is, you are an absolute amazing person, and I really appreciate all the support. I do. Anyways, if you guys support what I do here, consider sending a super chat or buying a membership. Both are great ways to help out what I do here. You said it wrong but tried? Hey, I tried, okay? At the very least, I tried. Democrats want Sharia law. What is Sharia law? Seriously, I like, what are you so afraid of? I know what Sharia law is, but I'm asking, what do you think it is? Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, feel free to call in. I can't believe y'all are allowed to reproduce. What does that mean? This guy, Sloppy here, talking about eugenics. Sharia law means women basically lose all their rights. Well, I don't agree with that. So, if there is a big movement that is advocating to get rid of women's rights based in Islamic thought, I will be on the first train to fight against that. Unfortunately, it's just not happening. Or fortunately, I should say. No, unfortunately, we seem to have a problem with the Christians doing that. Talk about out of touch with reality. Well, I don't exist, so I'm only here as long as the camera's on. Then I just disappear, unfortunately, until my next stream. Yeah, it's a real problem, unfortunately, but nobody has matter converters anymore. Something up with this timeline, essentially. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know who I am, I'm Tim Pond, JD Advanced, also known as Obama's Tan Suit, the Entropy Engine, I guess now. And I am just a humble lib trying to make his way on YouTube. I have debates every day. Every day. I don't take a break, ladies and gentlemen. I am here every day fighting against the MAGA scourge and anybody else who wants to touch my freedom, liberty, and justice for all. So, what Clinton was impeached and stayed in as president. Yeah, I don't agree with that. I think he should have stepped down. Master debater? No, oh, you're too sweet. You're too sweet. Thank you, Lady of the Loon. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, feel free to call in. My number is right there. I know facts don't care about your feelings, but we're here to parse through them. Chris, you say that, but you're on every one of my videos saying the exact same thing. So I don't know, man. It seems like I got you. Seems like I got you. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, feel free to call in. Tell me why I'm wrong. We are looking for those that still somehow support the administration or disagree with anything I have to say. Apparently, Mohammed will be the #1 baby name in America. I highly doubt that, my friend. You're gonna have to convince the suburban white moms to not name them. Let's see, what's a basic? Jake. Or Destiny. Good luck with that. Good luck with that, my friend. So I'm a libertarian? No, my friend. I am a liberal. Social liberal, but a liberal nonetheless. I believe in privatization, but I believe that, unfortunately, we have had an era of deregulation, and that has seriously hurt our nation in a lot of ways. I'm a woman? Well, that's news to me. Snickers, why did she do that? I'm sorry to hear about that, man. Seems like you probably deserved it, though. Women literally voted for Sharia law in Arkansas. I did not know Arkansas became a Islamic state. That's interesting. I wasn't aware of that. Guys, did you guys know this? Apparently Arkansas has accepted Sharia law. I had no idea. That's interesting. Then you aren't anything close to social or today's liberal? I actually am, my friend. I do believe in public options when necessary. Like, for example, with things like healthcare. But I think privatization is fine in certain areas where commodities are much more the main focus of it. Fuck Trump? Amen, Leah. Amen. Dems have them so brainwashed to believe they are owed a living. When did I say that? Again, you're fighting against Ghost, my friend. You're fighting against Ghost. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, how do you guys feel about this primetime television spot that Donald Trump is getting, where he is going to be denying the 2020 election? That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Instead of improving your life, instead of actually providing, for example, a healthcare option or providing anything to lower the groceries, Donald Trump is going to be bitching about how he lost in 2020. Isn't that sad? Isn't that sad, ladies and gentlemen? And you see it with the poll. A lot of MAGA agrees that the 2020 election was stolen. Listen, guys, I'm sorry that the American people were so disgusted by Trump's policies during COVID that they shot him out of the White House. That's not my fault. And it's also not the fault of the CIA or anything like that. Please tell me, who was in charge of the CIA during Donald Trump's tenure? That would be Donald Trump. Whoa! Whoa, so why did they allow him to lose the election? What? That's so embarrassing, bro. Like, think about how absolutely stupid you have to be to assume that the 2020 election was stolen. Not only that, why didn't we rig it again? Why didn't we rig it again, ladies and gentlemen? Probably because we didn't rig it for the first time. Like, and think, if we were allowing all these undocumented citizens to come into the country, don't you think that we would have much more likely of a chance to rig it in 2024? But wait, Donald Trump won. So either A, we're woefully incompetent, or B, it just never happened. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, feel free to call in. Tell me why I'm wrong. I would love to hear it. I would love to hear it. Unfortunately, we're not hearing much. We're not getting much calls. And that's because MAGA is very disenfranchised from engaging in the political system because they know they're screwed. They know their guy has absolutely lost. And so that's just, this is just what we get, unfortunately. A lot of cope, a lot of people who are embarrassed to even say they supported Donald Trump and just claim both sides now. You see that a lot, unfortunately. You see it a lot. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, if you disagree with anything I have to say, feel free to call in. It's kind of embarrassing to see all this cope from MAGA. I wish I could see like an actual policy or something like that, but usually it's just cope.
Call from.
It's kind of embarrassing to see all this.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2. Press 1.
Hey, how are you doing today?
Is this guy on YouTube?
Yes, this is on YouTube. Yes, this is on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. What the hell? Some weird calls we've had today. Some very weird calls we've had today. I'll be honest, this is a strange day for the call-ins. First, we had the dude get absolutely cooked on his interpretation of, I guess, morality. And then we had some dude call me an entropy engine. Now that's sick as hell. I'd love to be called an entropy engine. Are you joking? That's sick, bro. And Brandon, I'm sorry my face piercings make you feel something you haven't felt in years. I can't help you with that, though. I really can't help you with that. Did Bill Clinton have morals? I don't know, man. You'll have to ask Bill Clinton. What's up, Aussie Welder? Good to see you, dog.
Call from.
L. Rose.
To accept, press 1. To send a voice.
Hey, Al Rose. How are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. So, did you disagree with anything that's been said on the live so far or with the prompt?
Uh, I only disagree with the fact that I don't think Democrats will fix anything in 2028, but I do agree that I think Trump has royally screwed America, and I am severely
Yeah.
upset with him as I am one of his support. I was one of his supporters. I dropped him on February 28th.
Well, hey, that's a lot of Americans are in your similar position where they were disappointed by what Donald Trump has done, but they are still kind of wary to support the Democrats. And the reason I support the Democrats is because of the policies and the way they've acted during this administration. They seem very willing to fix the flaws that we see in our democracy. For example, a lot of people have a problem with APAC, and the reason APAC is allowed to exist is because of a ruling known as Citizens United, which made it legal for these giant political action groups to donate money. And the Democrats support repealing that.
Okay, I'll have to read more up on that. I honestly, I'm to the point where I don't trust either party. I remember when Democrats were in power, and I mean, I don't think this is the same Trump we had in 2016, but I just really think a revolution needs to be had, and I think we should all
No,
stop
not
voting.
at all.
I think
Not at
we should all
all.
rise
Do
up,
you,
honestly.
well, are you okay with killing your fellow American?
Fellow American, I'm not really talking about going up in arms against each other. I'm talking about us going arm in arm, hand in hand against the
Well,
government.
I think our system works if both parties are engaging in good faith. And I just don't see that from the Republicans. I do see it from the Democrats.
I thought I saw it from the Republicans. It was not what we were promised. We were lied to through the campaign. They killed Charlie Kirk, and
Well,
now they started a war, and I just can't
well,
forgive that.
well, I understand that. I don't know if
But
they necessarily killed
I
Charlie
really
Kirk
hope
though, but
that a different party can take over. Honestly, I don't know. Maybe everyone should just switch up and vote independent.
well,
Let's put a libertarian in office.
I think what you're asking for is represented in the Democratic Party. We have people that are much more conservative, but we also have people that are further to the left. A lot of people that voted that were Republican before Trump have actually switched to our party, and they
Mhm.
agree that the Democrats are the best way forward. I understand having a little bit of hesitance, especially because during the campaign cycle and even way before, there was this right-wing media machine that was constantly putting out how you're actually doing terrible and life sucks and all this horrible stuff. When in reality, Biden's tenure really wasn't that bad. We had record low unemployment, the stock market was doing just fine, things were stable. I think the issue is that you are seeing the extent of the MAGA Republican Party. They've always wanted a war with Iran. They've always wanted to basically allow corporations to conglomerate and become these giant, massive entities that are almost impossible to litigate against or even compete with.
Well, if they can get a Democrat to run that isn't in the Epstein files and doesn't support AIPAC and can actually cut us off from Israel, then they'll probably have my vote 100%. But
Okay.
I do remember all of Biden's tenure, and it was not him. I mean, they were using body doubles, they face
No,
masks.
sir.
I mean, he's not.
No, man.
Is
They
he
weren't
even still
using.
alive?
Now, he was, and the reason I believe Biden was a good president is because I look at what the Republicans were saying about him at the time in terms of like the congressional Republicans. They've said he was a great debater and that he held their feet to the fire on a lot of bills. And there was no government shutdown under Biden. I think that's a sign of good leadership. That's a sign of the ability to unify the country for something more than just yourself. And you talk about Israel. I agree. I think what Israel is doing in Gaza and the West Bank is disgusting. I think that unfortunately we were orienting to attack Iran anyways, but they did escalate it. Um,
Mhm.
I think
Well,
that
I
the
voted
best
for
way
Trump on the
forward,
promise that he wouldn't he would not fire on another country, and now he's not even taking responsibility or accountability for the innocent lives that he's taken.
Yeah.
And he lied to me about the Epstein files. What the heck? Like,
Yeah, the Epstein files is an interesting one, isn't it? I would be careful with the Epstein files, by the way. I'm not saying you fall or there's a lot of like weird AI images I'm seeing on Instagram that are like claimed to be the Epstein files. And it's just like crazy shit, like people eating each other. That's not
they
necessary.
literally do, though. They eat
Well,
babies. I have the whole Epstein file saved on my computer. I downloaded that
I
shit.
do too. I do too. And while I have seen some hints to that, I haven't seen conclusive evidence. So again, that it may have happened. I'm not saying it didn't, but there are a lot of fake images going around. But that's
There
besides the
definitely
point.
are. AI is, I mean, it's
Oh,
incredible. It's getting
yeah.
harder and harder to tell AI apart.
Well, I think something that is important is regulation on AI. And the Democrats are very much for that. I mean, we have some people saying we should even take 50% ownership in some of these companies because, and they make a compelling argument. Their argument is that the data that they use was produced by the population and they're not getting any kickbacks from the AI usage. But I don't know. I am
Well, how
very
do you feel about
pro.
Democrats' open borders? That nearly destroyed us.
So again, I don't think that it destroyed us. The issue with the way that
But
immigration was,
a lot of those people went missing, especially the children.
so that's actually a miscommunication by ICE. So the 300,000 missing children is actually a number that is given by ICE saying we can't talk to these children that are placed in foster care, not foster care, and placed in a foster parent's custody or a family friend's custody. It's much more just complaining about the fact that they can't keep tabs on these children, which I don't think the government should be able to keep tabs on children typically. I think that it is kind of bad to have like a government list of immigrant children and stuff like that. So that's kind of where that number comes from. I don't deny that there are coyotes and stuff like that that try to uh, bring people across the border for sexual things, and that's obviously horrible. That's why I supported the Langford bill, though, and the Langford bill would have covered a lot of this. Do you know what that bill is? Not a lot of people know about it because it was
No, I'm
kind of.
not. Is it based off of John Langford, the Oklahoma senator?
Yeah, or yeah, James Langford. But yes,
Yeah.
James Langford and Biden both wrote a bill, and they both wrote this bill that would make it much harder to claim amnesty, but it would also flood funds to the border if we had 10,000 border encounters per month. So technically, under the current administration, it would be considered a border crisis because we still have about 10,000 encounters per month. So even now, we would be having funds flood to the Border Control Agency, but it was shot down, and it had bipartisan support when it was introduced. However,
Mhm.
what shot it down was Donald Trump telling everybody, "Do not vote for this, or else I will primary you," and because
Huh.
he wanted to run on immigration.
Yeah. Who's I'm not gonna lie, I'm super not up to date with the
No,
Democrats because I've been so invested in what's going on with MAGA and whatnot. But who do you believe is gonna run for the Dems in the next
yeah.
primary?
So we actually have a lot of good options. It's hard to tell what the issue is going to be in 2028. Uh, I can give you my personal choice, which would be Mark Kelly. Mark Kelly is a senator from Arizona, a purple state, so he's more of a moderate individual, but he does believe in things. He believes in a strong military and all that. But he's also somebody who has the tenure. He was an astronaut. He worked in the United States Air Force. He's been a senator. He kind of I feel like he has his pulse on what Americans truly feel. The issue is he doesn't really have a lot of he's not really going on too many podcasts or shows right now. I feel like that's much more just because he's more focused on doing
Probably
stuff
closer
in
to
Congress right
2027.
now. But yeah, I think you'll probably start seeing him pop up in 2027. But you
I'll
know,
look into him because we need change. Honestly, if we could get Trump out of office right now, that'd be great.
well, hey, I'm glad. Hey, I'm glad you have woken up and smelled the roses, as they say. And a lot of people don't beat yourself up about it because a lot of people were fooled by what this dude was saying, and Americans felt like they were hurting at the time. And that's he played on our emotions and on our trust, and I think that
Yeah.
is extremely sad. But hey, now we know better, and it doesn't mean the entire system is broken. We do need
Yeah, well,
systematic
and I
we
think
need
I
systemic
don't think
change.
we should allow people to run to win again. I think that's where I messed up. I expected him to be who he was the first time around. I don't know, he's just different.
Well, a lot of people are getting I wouldn't say that. A lot of people are disenfranchised. Kind of how what you're saying, you don't believe in our system just because there's a lot of levers that we need to press to make our democracy start working for us. Like, I think getting rid of the filibuster will help us immediately because now we don't need 60 votes in the Senate. Now we just need a majority, like our founders intended. And so we can get policy passed on both sides. I think that, the people voted for something, even if I disagree vehemently with Donald Trump's agenda, they should be allowed to enact a lot of their some of their policy. And same for the Democrats. A lot of the things Biden wanted to do got halted because of the filibuster. And so I think
Mhm.
that would be the first thing that I think we need to get rid of. But it doesn't stop there. Our the fight for liberty and freedom, it really never ends. So another example would be uncapping the House. Right now, uh, House representative represents about 800,000 people. It should be 30 to 50,000 like the Constitution intended. That way
Yeah.
people don't feel nearly as unrepresented as they do right now. You could call up your representative and actually ask them, what you're working on, and you probably wouldn't get put on hold for the next 10 hours.
He's
Unfortunately,
very well spoken. Are the
Oh, thank
Democrats
you.
paying you right now?
No, the Democrats are not paying me. I wish. Shit. Oh my God. No, I've been a lifelong Democrat, and I'm very passionate about our politics, and I want to see
Well,
the
I was
American.
liberal. I was a liberal Democrat. I voted for Hillary in 2016. I switched sides in 2019, and then now I feel betrayed, like you said.
Yeah, and I understand that. I really do. And your opinions are valid, at least to the extent of the Republicans. And I don't deny that sometimes Democrats were a little slow to move on occasion. I don't deny that at all. But what I'm seeing from the Democratic Party is kind of a different party in a lot of ways. We want justice. We want the ability to fix our democracy in a lot of ways. And a lot of our issues are systematic. It's not going to change overnight. We need people that are focused on actually fixing our democracy and making it more representative and making it better for the people.
I agree. I'll definitely look into this Mark Kelly person. Thank you for answering my call. I've got to go.
Yeah, of course. Have a great day.
You too.
Peace. Yeah, I don't deny that a lot of people do feel betrayed by our system, especially if they voted for Trump, right? Trump said all of these he said all of these sweet nothings, right? That was a bunch of bullshit. And while people that are more politically inclined knew it was bullshit, a lot of people that don't really tune into politics, I mean, felt like he was selling something that's good, right? I want lower grocery bills. I want cheaper gas. I want all of these things, but his solutions did not result in that. As a matter of fact, we saw higher gas prices. We see higher grocery prices. We see a decrease in GDP in a lot of cases because we're removing a labor force that we kind of depended on. And so I think that the Democrats are in a great position to actually get real change done. And there's a couple policies that I think if we pursue will really mean a lot for the country overall, not just for the Democrats. I want everybody to benefit. I want every American to have the ability to engage in our amazing democracy and this great American experiment. And anybody who feels like they are disenfranchised isn't engaging with that system. So I want to make it more representative. I want more people to vote. These are just things that I've kind of always wanted as a Democrat. By the way, if you guys are enjoying this stream, do not forget to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel and gets me boosted out there in the algorithm.
Call from.
My name is John.
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Hey John, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good, sir. How about you?
I'm doing well. So did you disagree with anything that's been said on the live so far or with the prompt?
Yes, I don't believe that Trump messed up America. I believe it was the Democrats' fault.
Okay. So what do you think Donald Trump has done to solve that issue? What were your issues with the Democrats? I guess we should begin with.
They are trying to spread gay and transgender propaganda across America and through our school system.
Okay, so you voted on culture war issues, not anything that would
And
actually
and
benefit
and they are
Americans' lives.
and they are also using American taxpayer dollars to support illegal immigrants.
Do you have a gun to your head right now, sir?
No, sir.
Okay, just making sure. So let's address your trans issue because you seem to have an issue with that. So why don't you think that gay and trans people are able to live in our society?
They can, but they are mentally ill, and it should
Where
not
do you
be.
point to that? Why do you think it's mentally ill?
Gay people are not ill, but transgenders are mentally ill. I mean, I don't know
Yeah,
why
gender
it's being
dysphoria.
accepted.
Yeah, so gender dysphoria is a form of mental illness. Do you know what the do you know what the solution for that is?
I do not, sir.
It's allowing them to transition.
No, sir.
Do you have any other evidence to support what you're saying?
Yes, you support faggots and fuck niggers. Fuck niggers.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you get offended? Oh, poor guy. Poor guy. He got absolutely decimated and decided to say a slur, ladies and gentlemen. Poor guy. I feel bad for people like that. You can tell they have some repressed homoeroticism in themselves. What a loser. Yeah, I know. Listen, guys, but that's a lot of MAGA right now. They're unable to actually debate, so they just have to come on here and say a bunch of slurs. Listen, I'm sorry you guys had to hear that. Incredibly sad, but kind of expected a lot of times when it comes to MAGA. Anyways, if you guys are enjoying the stream, don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you guys want updates on the latest happenings of the TGDEU, feel free to join the Discord, ladies and gentlemen. I post updates about when I'm going live, if I'm going on any debate panels, all of that. So feel free to call in if you disagree, but also feel free to join the Discord if you guys enjoy the community. We have an amazing community that is full of some really amazing people, and I hope you will join us. Wow, a homophobic, racist MAGA? Say it ain't so. I know, right? Color me shocked, ladies and gentlemen. Color me shocked. Anyways, shout out to Aussie Welder that sent $2 Euro. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, Shavila? I'm sorry. I'll get it right someday. But $2 is... oh, it's not from Aussie Welder. My bad. From Smiling Dog. Thank you so much, Smiling Dog. I appreciate that. I don't know why I think it's because Aussies and dogs and all that. Thank you for the $2 euro. I really appreciate it, man. It carries more than the dollar these days. It really does. Anyways, folks, feel free to like and subscribe if you guys are enjoying the stream. I do 2 shows every day. Aussie Welder with the $10. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Kicking, oh my, I accidentally spelt Smiling Dog wrong. Hey, thank you so much, Smiling Dog, but Aussie Welder with the $10, thank you so much, man. I really appreciate it. Without these amazing donations and without these amazing people, I don't know if I could do it, but because of your guys' love and support, that's how I'm able to do this every day. And I say I have the best community on YouTube. And I mean that. You guys are super awesome, and I just appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Here soon, I'm going to try and integrate stream alerts. Unfortunately, due to the audience that these lives gather, I may not be able to do the text-to-speech, at least on this stream. Shevhila? Shevhila. Without the H and the ya? Shavila. Shavila? Shavila. Shavila. Damn it, now I'm trying to add a little spice to it, okay? I'm trying to add a little spice to it. Thank you so much again, Aussie Welder, for the $10. Honestly, we're getting close to the Rightoid of the day, ladies and gentlemen. 2 more donations and we'll be there. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, feel free to call in. They're all making fun of me for my pronunciation. Hey, listen, at least I try. At least I try, okay? Check Vikings history and talk to his younger relatives. Yeah, that's interesting. I hear he was doing some odd things. Anyways, I can't pronounce it properly either. Well, hey, at least we're in the same boat. At least we're in the same boat. Anyways, I think it's pretty interesting that one dude came on here being super homophobic, super bigoted. I think that's pretty representative of the MAGA base right now, unfortunately. You know, they're not able to argue their points. And so they get absolutely dogpiled when it comes to an actual debate. Check the left's history? Oh, you mean civil rights? Well, that's not good. That is good. That looks great, in my opinion. Argue who has PTSD? Why would I... What? Are we having an argument about PTSD now, ladies and gentlemen? You voted against Civil Rights Act, fool. No, we didn't. See, what Vikings is doing right now is spreading fake news. That's actually not true. PTDS. Interesting. Interesting, ladies and gentlemen. Anyways, if you guys are enjoying the stream, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. Unfortunately, due to people like the previous caller, the stream has been hit with a bit of a shadow ban. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen. Don't worry, this happens a lot. Unfortunately, when MAGA soys out, they have to say slurs and stuff like that. One moment. One moment. My apologies. So, we have a fact check here, ladies and gentlemen, from Vikings Claim of more Republicans voted for the Civil Rights Act as a percentage than Democrats did. Conservative commentator Ben Shapiro claimed on December 3rd episode of his podcast that compared to Democrats, a greater percentage of Republicans voted for the Civil Rights Act in 1964. Verdict? While the Landmark Act received a majority support from both parties, a greater percentage of Republicans voted in favor of the bill. Oh, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Turns out you were kind of correct, but not really. It looks like both parties voted for the Civil Rights Act. Looks like it was a pretty unanimous thing here. Yeah, and also, this also just kind of denies the fact of the Southern strategy that was enacted during, directly after the Civil Rights Act, where a massive amount of Democrats left because we had voted on the Civil Rights Act. And so what happened was a bunch of Democrats that were racist, these Southern Democrats, they left the party. Well, far be it from a Republican to pass up an opportunity. What the Republicans did is campaign and try to get these racist Southern Democrats on their side. And that actually worked in a lot of cases. Anyways, apparently I'm a douche. Well, I'm sorry, but that doesn't necessarily advocate for your position, my friend. Unfortunately, just soying out and calling people names, that's not a great way to win an argument. Not a great way to win an argument, ladies and gentlemen. And again, it denies the party split and all that. Just sad to see. Sad to see. Gay guy who spreads fake news and propaganda. That's a good argument, actually. Fuck, you got me, man. You got me.
Call from
Evan.
to accept.
Hey, Evan, how are you doing today?
Good, good. How you doing?
I'm doing well. So, did you disagree with anything I've said on the live so far or with the prompt?
Yeah, I disagree with the prompt.
Okay, so,
mhm.
yeah, what do you think the Republicans are doing well right now?
Well, first off, I just want to say, I feel like you're giving the Trump supporters a lot, you're bashing Trump supporters a lot because of the callers you're getting, and fair enough, if I was getting those kinds of calls too, I would assume Trump supporters are really dumb too. Keep in mind, this is TikTok and YouTube. You know, none of us really are that well versed in this, right? It's not really our jobs, and I feel like on calls, like shows like this, you're bound to get a lot of idiots just calling in saying racist stuff. So sorry about
Yeah,
that, but like,
no, it's
it's
fine.
not.
Listen,
Yeah,
I don't hate people that voted for Donald Trump. I don't even hate my
yeah.
fellow Republicans. So,
hmm
I may meme on them, but it's not
Yeah.
nearly to the level that the right does it with the left. So, you know.
Uh, that I agree to disagree on that part. But as far as the prompt goes, Trump and the Republicans screwed America. Democrats will fix it in 2028. Like, let's be real here, bro. Both parties screwed America, and I don't think that hanging your hat on the Democrats is really gonna resolve anything. It's like
I
the
think it
Democrats
will.
have not been much better, bro.
No, they totally have been. During Biden's tenure, for example, he recovered us from COVID. He brought inflation down from 9% to 3%. He also initiated the one-child tax credit, which brought half of American children out of poverty. I think he did great things, and I see the policies that the Democrats support, and I think they'll really help the nation, like a public option, providing anti-price gouging bills. All of these are great policies that I support.
Uh, so I see a lot of debate about the public option. Honestly, if the public option was so great, I think that what the states generally do is the states are the testing ground, right? If the public option was so amazing, there's a ton of very left-leaning states, and if any of these states are able to properly implement this,
Yes,
the public option,
California even has universal health care for a lot of cases.
uh, I live in California. I can tell you the healthcare system here is not good. I've been on Medi-Cal, Medicare, whatever that is, when I was with my parents. So
Mhm.
absolute, I have nightmares to the point where I went to doctor like no joke 6, 7 times for something very minor. At the end, I just ended up going, paying out of pocket, and getting it done in like one day at people that actually knew what they were doing.
Yeah,
I don't
a
think
public
California's.
option isn't supposed to be the
Mhm,
amazing insurance. It's supposed to provide a baseline, and you can go private if you
mhm.
are doing better in life. But I think that waiting in line for a doctor is much better than uh, not seeing a doctor at all. Because at some point
No,
you will be seen.
mhm.
And you even said you were able to see them 6 or 7 times.
Yeah, and the problem was never resolved. The doctor was inept. I've had times where my mom would go to a Medicare doctor, and genuinely the doctor said, "I'm not being paid enough to answer your questions right now." Like, this is the reality of a lot of public options, and we see this
Yeah,
in
and
Canada
I hope,
where,
yeah, that's
I'm
okay.
sorry,
Yeah, that's
we're
fine,
seeing this
sir.
in Canada where they have to start.
They don't
It
have a
becomes a
public
financial
option.
decision, and I think it's such a it becomes so financially based that it almost becomes un-American to some degree, right? Where they
I'd
have to
say
start
it's
weighing the
un-American.
options.
I'd say it's
I'm sorry, can you please
un-American
stop cutting me
to
off?
want your fellow American to die of a health issue that they could have been, they could have gotten resolved. And I know you say, well, in California, I saw them 6 or 7 times. We can agree that California isn't necessarily representative of the entire United States, and California has a very high population, so they probably are overworked, but not due to the public option, due to the high amount of people there.
All right, but what about a place like Vermont that had Bernie Sanders as the senator, right? Like Vermont should have had a public option ages ago. They have one of the, I would argue, the most liberal senator that's like ever existed, right?
Yeah,
And
but a
even he
senator
can't do
isn't
a public option
representative.
because the reality is a public option is going to cost us so much. It's
How is it going
there's
to
so
It's
many.
going to save us money. No, it's not going to cost us a shit ton. What are you talking about?
It's going to cost us a lot because there's so
How?
many factors. We look at other countries that have it, and we're like, oh, what Canada can do it, why can't we?
You're making
We aren't
you
Canada.
are you're being sneaky here because Canada has
No,
universal
no.
health care. You know that.
Hmm.
I'm not advocating
Yeah.
for universal health care. So can you give an example of a country that does have a public option that still doesn't work very well?
Uh, Honestly, I'm not 100% sure. I assume Switzerland and the Scandinavian countries tend to be places we look at.
No, they
Generally,
have
when I hear
universal
public
health
option,
care.
oh, okay. Generally, when I hear public option, I hear it affiliated with Canada and stuff like that because that's almost always the comparison we make, right? But
No,
the
I wouldn't
reality
say
is,
Canada is very
mhm,
representative of America personally.
it's it's pretty close. But yeah, I
Our
definitely agree.
governmental
When it comes to
system is
health,
different. Our
yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of distinctions. And also, I want to address your state issue because you're acting as those states that don't have either universal health care or public option, and they have Democratic senators come from there. They have an entire state legislature they have to deal with. And I would very much be interested to see Vermont's uh, Democratic layout, as in who they vote for, because something tells me that the full story isn't necessarily being told right now.
Maybe I haven't looked too closely, but I assume again, if they're electing Bernie Sanders as their senator, I assume that most of everything is going to be left. I know in California we have like it's always everything is like it's always a Democrat winning just about
Yeah.
like the vast majority of races, right?
So I
So
I just looked it
these
up.
are the
There
testing
are
grounds.
three
Why
states
can't we
with
test it?
Well, there are three
Hmm.
states. Washington, Colorado, and Nevada all have a public option.
Washington, Colorado, and Nevada.
Yeah, and Colorado
Well,
is actually one of the most premier places to have a surgery. They have amazing doctors there.
hmm well, if the system was working, we'd be able to transfer it to the whole state, right? I mean, to the whole country. But the reality is that health healthcare for Americans is just so much more expensive than it is for other places. And there's three very big reasons that go so unaddressed when we're making these comparisons because Americans on average are far less healthy, right? Obesity is like the number one killer
Mm,
in America.
that's not actually true. The
Well,
number one
it's one
killer
of
in
the leading
America
causes.
is heart
One of the leading
attacks.
causes. Well,
But
heart attack.
but
What
what
causes
I
heart
would say,
attacks, right?
sir, is that it's not
Yeah.
necessarily because we're unhealthy. It's because we have an aging population, and that requires
Uh,
increased healthcare cost.
we have a very obese population as well, which is
That's not the
known to
issue
be one
that
of the main.
that's not the
Mhm.
issue, sir. It's not
Oh,
the
so
obesity. No.
obesity is not one of the main health problems that America has.
I'd say it's a problem, but main health problem, probably not.
I would argue one of the biggest, but we have obesity. That's one of the big problems. Second big problem is our murder rates and our violent crime rates are so much higher than every
Whoa,
other
sir.
country.
This is a different
Mhm.
conversation entirely. You're talking about crime, I'm talking about healthcare.
Yeah, yeah. But if there's a lot of violent crime and there's a lot of murders and a lot of beatings happening on a daily basis, those all go to the hospital and that inflates the cost of healthcare. That's something
So
that other countries don't
I
have to, and
yeah, I
it's
just want
something we
to
need to factor in.
yeah, I want to prove how you're wrong about that.
Mhm.
So America has seen a 30-year low in crime before Trump even took office. So
Hmm.
if
But
crime is an
relative to,
issue,
mhm.
we should be seeing much more crime happening. And it's just not happening nearly as much. I don't think fixing crime is going to lead to decreased healthcare costs. That's not even what
So you're
the
doing
stats say.
uh, so you believe that, okay, so a few things there. First off, you're saying crime is at a 30-year low. Crime is at a 30-year low across the whole world. What I'm saying is relative to other countries that have these, uh,
That's not true, sir. It's not low across the whole world. There are
so do you
places
want to
like
look up?
Ecuador, like
Yes.
yeah, they're
Does
obviously
Ecuador
have a
have a
much
public
higher
option?
murder rate. Huh?
Does Ecuador have a public, like, we're speaking about other countries that have,
Sir,
uh,
no, you can't do this. You cannot
what do you
shift the
mean?
goalpost.
I'm not shifting the goalpost.
You know that crime has no relation to healthcare cost. You know that. Can we stop being
Wait,
disingenuous?
I am being dead serious. I'm not even trying to be disingenuous. So you
So
believe
how does
that
crime
in a
relate?
pop
How does crime relate? Can you give me some stats to back that up? Besides
a
just,
person,
well, people get shot, so they got to get the bullet holes fixed.
yeah, does getting a bullet hole fixed
Do
not
you think that's
lead to
representative
medical
of
costs?
so do you think that's representative of most people who visit the doctor? Probably not.
It's
As a matter of
representative
fact,
of
I would say it's probably not even it's probably not even frequent enough to be a rounding error.
um I think that the rates of violent crime are significant enough where it would be significant and it would be easy to list it as one of the factors.
Well, why
First,
don't
you're saying
you show
obesity.
where does it say that in
Okay,
in any data?
I'll try looking it up. But so far, you've said that obesity isn't going to lead to increased healthcare costs. You're telling me, in,
That's not what the nomenclature says. What it says is that due to the fact that our population is aging, a older population requires more advanced healthcare.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
much more the reason. You don't need a special device to lose weight. Okay, you just don't. You don't need
Um,
a heart pump if just to lose weight. That's the reason our healthcare prices are so high. It's because older people require better healthcare.
I absolutely agree. Older people is going to be the third reason I listed. Um, but
So I
the stuff
actually
you're
want
saying,
to bring up some actual reasons why our healthcare cost is so high. So I already said an aging population.
companies and capitalism, let me guess.
No, sir.
Okay, okay.
Okay, let's be serious here. All right. So
Hmm.
one of the big reasons is because we have a Medicaid cap. We only allow about 10,000 residencies per year for doctors. And most of the time, those residencies they don't cover things like psychological health care. They don't taken things like even pediatric care a lot of the time. And so if we were to raise the limit on how many doctors are allowed to be introduced with this residency program from like 10,000 to 50,000, I think we'd see a pretty great jump. But again, this is
Hold up.
what's up?
Can I address that? So you're saying programs that currently allow in like 10,000 doctors, if we were able to bump that up to 50,000, for example, that would lead to better health outcomes essentially, or
Yeah,
reduce
because
cost of
you're adding
healthcare.
yeah, you're adding more providers for the healthcare, which will decrease rates.
So do you plan on lowering the standards when we're
Did I say that?
5xing the
Why
amount
do
of
you think
doctors?
their standards would be lowered?
Because if there's people competing for only 10,000 positions and the goal is essentially to take the best 10,000, you're going to end up with very skilled people. If like let's say there's 100,000 people and we only need 10,000 of them, we get the 10,000 best, right? We get the top
That's
10%.
not
If you're
typically
saying
how this works,
50,000
sir.
now,
That's not, there's no like, it's just based on a list. It's not based on it's not merit based.
are you talking about hiring doctors?
The Medicaid residency programs, they require, you're just put on a list. You're not, you don't get the position based on merit. Now, maybe inside of hospitals, but you have to go through a residency program first.
Yeah. Okay. So can you, I'm a little bit unclear on that. So is the Medicare residency different from the type of residency that a typical doctor would go through post med school? Because I know after med school, right? So doctors go to university, then they go to med school, and then they have residency after. Is this something that takes place of that residency that comes after med school? Or is this even after that med school residency, then there's another residency? I'm not sure how that Medicare residency thing you're talking about works.
Yeah, so it would be essentially the same as a private residency. So you would go to
So
med
take a place.
school and then you'd go through that residency program. Yeah, doctors take a lot of work, my friend. They take a lot of time to train.
Yeah, no, I'm well aware. I have many friends that are doctors, which is why I'm so confused whenever you say we're gonna up. So you're just saying allow more doctors into residency, right?
That's one of the
Like
fixes,
you
but it's
create.
not a one fix
Yeah.
solution, sir. We have
I
systematic issues with our healthcare.
yeah, no, it's the whole point is to show that there's a lot of holes in what you're saying, and like
Okay, well, why don't you point one out?
yeah, the whole that if we're trying to hire the top like 10,000 doctors versus 50,000 doctors without having any loss in
It's
like
already
overall
not
quality,
merit-based. It's already not merit-based.
becoming a doctor is not merit based.
No, not necessarily. Well, so what you're
That's
asking is, does
crazy.
it take a lot of skill to be a doctor? Yes.
That's
But
not what
what
I'm
you're
asking.
trying to say is that the residency program provided by Medicaid does not, you're trying to imply that it's based on merit when it's actually based on just a list that you enter into. So we wouldn't be
So
seeing a decrease in quality. You need to provide why we would see a decrease in quality. Um, that isn't just, well, more people, because I don't think that's a good argument personally.
So whenever a doctor is going to apply for residencies, right? Let's say, for example, Cedars-Sinai, the best hospital in America, arguably the world. I know for a fact, like probably California, LA area, right? Cedars-Sinai. So if Cedars-Sinai nowadays, I don't know how many they take in, but it's not very much, right? Maybe I don't know the exact number, but let's say 50.
Well, that's
If
a private
Cedars-Sinai is only
institution.
yeah, but like as an example, because right now the residencies that at least I'm familiar with are private, right? So just using it as an example, so let's say as an example, the Cedars-Sinai is taking in 50 people versus 250 people. It's like they start off by
You're
taking
doing it.
the
You're just making big number mean less. That's all you're doing. Why does big number mean less?
no, I'm saying that if you take in only 50 of the absolute best, you're getting the top 50 in the country, right? If now
Do you
if you're
think
taking in
do you think the
250,
other
you're taking
two?
in the top 250. So
Yeah, but do you
there's
think the
200 people
top
that were
two,
less
so do you think
qualified
the
than the
top
top 50.
200 doctors, besides the 50, so the top, let me see. Yeah, the top the 200 after the 50, do you think they're gonna
Hmm.
be worse? Why do you think that?
Well, I don't think that's Cedar Sinai did, right?
Well, why
Because
do
those
you? I know,
200
but what
would
do you think their reasoning is?
uh, based off of whatever qualifications they view as important, right? Generally, I would assume it would be how they did in med school, test scores. There's a whole bunch of tests to
Yeah,
test their
that's a
knowledge, right?
merit-based
Yeah,
system, the one with the
yeah.
residency. But the Medicaid residency isn't merit-based. So your argument doesn't really stand because this is a different type of program. You're talking about a merit-based system. As to the Medicaid residencies, they're not merit-based and they're just put on a list.
Wait, that's even scarier. I'll be real. So you're saying that the way to get better doctors is to take merit as one of the factors, to take merit out of the consideration when hiring
Merit
doctors?
already isn't in the consideration, sir.
How is it not? In private it is. It's like today, as far
Yeah,
as I
things
know.
work differently when private and public, right?
But today it is a merit-based system, is it not? Other than this the the Medicare option that you're talking about, today as it
I
stands,
think
Cedar
that
Sinai is merit-based.
yeah, but your merit, I think that if you're able to go through medical school and you're able to achieve that 8 years of schooling, I think you're going to do just fine, my friend. You're going to have to provide an example of somebody who went through 8 years of medical school and was just a horrible doctor that got into one of these residency programs.
Do you want me to give you a name? I'm sure there's tons of medical malpractice lawsuits out there of doctors being bad doctors, right?
Yeah, and then they're
Like,
sued and then they
you
lose
want
their
an
doctor
example? Yeah,
license. So yeah, I
yeah.
would imagine.
So,
But that's
and
with the
that would probably
system we
happen a
currently
lot
have, sir.
more if
That's
we
with the
take merit out of
system.
the equation.
No, not at all. It's already not in the equation for a
You
lot of
can't say
these
you can't say
doctors.
not at
And
all.
no, it's not
You're
at
making
all
ridiculous
because you haven't
statements.
provided any proof. You're just trying to catch me in like a lot. Like this is like a logic based thing where it's like, well, if more people go in, that means less good quality of care. But this really isn't, this isn't even addressing the real issue, which is healthcare coverage.
Um, I mean, it has to do with healthcare coverage, right? Because we're
Yeah,
talking about quality of the healthcare.
we're
Because
talking about why the rates are so high right now.
it seems like you're willing to, like, what I'm saying is there's a lot of downsides and there's a lot of sacrifices, and you're
I'm
making it
not
sound like
seeing,
there's
but
no
you haven't
sacrifices
provided
at
any
all.
evidence for those downsides. All you've provided is, well, there's a lot of malpractice cases, but that's with the system we currently have.
No, first off, you're going. There's a lot of logical inconsistencies
All
with
right,
what you're
point them
saying.
out instead of saying it. Point them out instead of saying it. Okay?
Okay, increasing the number of available spots does not lead to less qualified people,
It doesn't.
right? So let's use this as an example.
Provide.
Right now,
Okay.
the NBA, for example, let's say they 5x the amount of NBA teams out there, and now they have to go out and hire a whole bunch of NBA players, right? Do you think that any of these new batch, the very last team, let's say right now there's 100 NBA teams, they make it 500. I don't know how many NBA teams there are, but now there's 500,
This
and they go
isn't
through and
analogous at all.
I mean,
But here, I'll even take it out that. You know Tom Brady, right? You know who Tom Brady
yeah,
is.
yeah,
Yeah, he was the last pick.
okay.
So even if a Tom Brady can come out of the quote unquote bad batch, then what do you think? Why do you think that doctors can't do the same?
First, I think there's a difference between knowledge
Oh,
and
so
physical
now there's a
capabilities because,
difference. Now there's a difference. Before with the
well,
basketball team, it was analogous, but
okay.
now there's a difference.
All right.
Interesting.
Well, all right. Let me get it. Tom Brady would be an exception to the rule. He would not be the rule, right?
Oh,
Typically,
okay.
so
Gotcha.
whenever universities pick by like there's everything. When you go to apply for a job, right? If there's 5 times the amount of positions, like it's blowing my mind. Yeah, Tom Brady. Sometimes that happens, right? Sometimes the last pick, like Kobe, he sucked in high school or whatever. He sucked at one point. He became amazing. It happens, right? But there's exceptions to every rule. There's
Yeah, I was
like
just pointing out the
freaks,
Tom Brady
right?
example because you're saying that all of these doctors that didn't qualify, I guess, for these private residencies would be horrible, but you don't really have a basis in believing that other than big number equal less.
I'm not saying they'd be horrible. I'm simply saying they'd be worse. I'm saying that the 50,000th doctor that gets picked is generally, on average, gonna be worse than that first pick doctor, right? The doctor
Okay,
that just
so
is
I'll
like
even
a
engage with
know-it-all.
that. I'll even engage with that. Unfortunately, that still is better than the status quo we have right now.
Um, I mean, I debatable, very, very debatable.
Well, debate it then.
But
Debate it then.
uh, I mean, we're kind of getting abstract at this point. It's
Oh, now we're getting abstract. But when you brought up the comparison between NBA teams, that wasn't abstract at all.
no, no. I mean, well, I feel like at this point we're kind of just spinning our wheels in circle, right?
All right, well, I'll bring
Where
it
like
back.
like the
So, what's your issue with the public option? Because I don't think you really gave a good reason.
one of the biggest. So like I said, generally states consider that, but another very big issue is the cost, and it's everyone seems to say it's going to cost less. Even Bernie Sanders, when he was
I
running, he
think there will
admitted
be
it.
an initial high cost due to increase like by a couple percentage points in taxes, but I think those costs will be offset by the gains in terms of people being able to go to the doctor and the decrease in healthcare prices, as in the decrease in insurance premiums.
Um, I don't know. Even Bernie Sanders, I remember whenever they were proposing the public options, even they admitted it. Like initially, they're saying, "Oh, it's going to cost less," but over even like a 10-year span, we know it's going to cost more, right? And it's
No.
like a lot of
You
these
don't,
social.
what's your evidence for
Mhm.
that besides just like your intuition?
Um, honestly, it's whenever I was keeping up with the elections, it was a little while back, but Bernie Sanders was even saying, and like all of my super left leaning
No,
friends, and
I'm
when I
not
looked
Bernie
into it,
Sanders. I'm not Bernie Sanders.
okay, I can try ChatGPT. Would a public option end up costing us more? But
Well, I wouldn't. I mean, if you can't provide a reason based on your own intuition, then why are you so against it?
I mean, half the time you're telling me to use intuition, half the time you're telling me to use facts.
Well, I know that you're not able to provide any facts, so just give me your intuition. Why does your intuition say that it would cost more?
um, because if we're trying to provide the same level of healthcare to a much larger population, generally that's going to increase costs. And I think that's a pretty fair statement to say.
So that's actually not true at all. Just economic theory doesn't even prove that. So what would actually happen is if you have more suppliers, and you have more if you have more suppliers, it'll decrease the costs. And if you have more consumers, it'll decrease the cost.
Yeah, I'm trying to
Now,
look up.
if you get rid of the suppliers and then you add more consumers, that would increase the cost. But we're providing more suppliers, as in
I
more
don't.
people that are able to engage in the system, more doctors that are able to get hired, stuff like that.
Um, yeah, there's many moving parts there. It's really hard to say. Sorry, I'm trying to do research and talk at the same time. It's a little bit hard.
No, you're all right,
Um,
man.
but yeah. Uh, sorry. Lost my train of thought. Yeah. So honestly, I feel like I'm not gonna really move you on this. You're not gonna move me too much on this because it's
Why
they're
not?
just
Why are
so.
you so against it? I don't get it, man.
The thing is, I want it.
I'm providing reasons why it would help.
I
I
mean,
feel like you just have this knee-jerk reaction because it is a democratic policy, and that's something we have to fight against, man. We got to be
No, no.
bipartisan, and we actually have to look at how we can fix these things. If it's from a Republican, that's great. If it's from a Democrat, that's great. A lot of Americans are facing these extremely high healthcare costs, and I have to deal with it myself. Part of it is a selfish
Mhm.
motivation because I have to pay for high healthcare costs in terms of mental health care. I had some things happen to me in my past, but that's not important. So it's
Mhm.
not just like out of the goodness of my heart that I'm doing this. Part of it is, but most of it is because I experience these high healthcare costs, and they are a definite drain.
No, I agree. And like you said, I think it's important to try and stay pretty impartial. And I consider myself center right more so than anything. I agree with a lot of big left leaning issues, right?
Yeah,
So I'm not like gung ho on everything that's right just for the sake of being on the right side, like on the
yeah, of
Republican
course.
side, you know? And
Well,
it's not that I don't want everyone to have health insurance. That's the thing. I feel like this comes off a lot of the times as, oh, this person doesn't want the public option. They want me to die in a gutter. It's like,
no,
no,
not
that's
at
not
all.
what we
I
want.
don't think that at all. I
But
think you're a
right.
classic fiscal conservative, and you're worried about
Mm-hmm.
how much the cost would run up. But that's why we need you engaged and looking at how we could save cost, because I think a public option is needed, but I'd prefer to have Republicans look at it and not just outright reject it. Instead, say, well, you could cut some costs here, you could
Mm-hmm.
streamline some things here. So that's I don't think you're a horrible person, not at all. I think you're a conservative that is, he sees the problem, and you're just trying to find ways, uh which it may not work, but I think more research in this area would be, because I've even seen some libertarians say a public option would
Yeah.
decrease. So, I don't think you're a bad person, not at all, man.
Yeah. The issue I find a lot of times is when people start talking about how like the public option is going to save us all a ton of money, it kind of assumes a lot. Like, oh, we're gonna have a public option, and suddenly everyone's gonna be way healthier. Like it's
I
gonna
don't
be
think that.
way
Yeah,
more
I
substantial than it actually is. And
well,
I
I
think
I
there's
think it'll
certain.
help, but there are other things we need to do besides just the public option. A lot of issues in America, they're systematic, and it's going to take
Hmm.
a big push to actually fix it. And that's why that's why I say I don't hate people that voted for Trump. I don't hate Republicans.
Hmm.
Um, it's going to take a bipartisan effort. So, I just don't want you to think I'm your enemy, and vice versa. I'm not.
Yeah,
We're
yeah, of
both
course not, of
Americans
course not.
trying to
Yeah, that's the
help out
reality. I feel
the.
like it's way too divisive out there right now, and I think that's one of the
Amen.
biggest problems. And I do blame Trump for this division to some degree, to a large degree. Let's be real here.
Yeah,
Trump
I
is
mean, he is
divisive,
turning up the
and
temp.
yeah,
You know what I mean? He
yeah.
is, but
Like if you hate Trump and then you have to hear him speak, I can imagine that because the people that like Trump, they're like, oh hell yeah, that's hilarious, that's awesome, and then everyone that hates Trump is just like seething at like
well, I
half the
don't
stuff he
think the
says.
president should be a troll. That's all I'm saying. But
Yeah,
I think this is a
president being
moment in
presidential and
American
all.
history, and I do think
Hmm.
that we'll get past this division and do some real change that is good for our country.
But yeah, to bring it all back to the main topic, and we're talking about social programs a little bit, so I'll go off on a bit of a tangent. The reason I think that it was both sides that had a very large role to play in it, in like America's downfall in the negative position we might be in right now, is it's the debt. Realistically, like if we look at the
Hmm.
debt, my main question isn't like my main question is how do we not go bankrupt? It's not like can we not go, but it's like we're
Yeah.
on a fast track to bankruptcy, and I'm not seeing either side really stepping up, and
Well,
I'm seeing more people trying to promote social programs, which are a
Well,
major part of our budget.
yeah, some social programs pay for themselves in a lot of ways, but I don't deny that we do have a lot of debt. Now, most of that debt,
Hmm.
it's not owed to another person or another
Um,
country. It's owed to the taxpayer. But
bonds.
yeah,
A lot of our debt
it's
is simply through bonds. Yeah, and
yeah,
that's how
it's owed to
America
the
sells off debt, right?
taxpayer. But
Yeah.
what I would say is if you're concerned about the debt, you're not going to like like Democrats have been the only ones in recent history to decrease the deficit. Bill Clinton, and then it hasn't really, our budget hasn't been balanced since then, but if you look at a rate of which Republicans spend and Democrats spend, Republicans are
Mhm.
way higher in that area. And that's with things like, and you see that with things like the Iraq, or not Iraq, the war that George Bush started, and
Okay,
with the
I'm
Big Beautiful Bill. The Big Beautiful
let,
Bill
let,
did increase
let,
by about
let
four
me jump
trillion.
in with George Bush, that George Bush statement. I think it was almost a unanimous vote, minus Bernie, right? Like
No, yeah, I don't.
everybody in the country was unified on going to war with Iraq.
Well, I
So I
mean,
think
hey,
making that a
I
left-right
understand,
issue,
I
yeah,
understand,
like
but
after 9/11, it's like
well, I'm not
uh,
saying it's necessary. I'm just saying like just
it was a
do.
bad war, but don't get me wrong, don't get me wrong. But what I'm saying is
Oh
it
no,
was
I
unanimous.
trust
Like
me.
no,
I
that doesn't
understand.
happen. That
Yeah,
doesn't
I think
happen.
that we were hurt
So
by
like
what happened
we
in
can't say it was
9/11,
Bush, right?
and
It was
yeah,
everyone in the Senate, everyone in the Congress. So
well,
I don't like how we say, oh, the president at this time, and then we just, oh, the president at this time, and there was well, it's like, yeah, of course, if
let me give a
we
more
were like,
recent example. The Big Beautiful
mhm,
Bill added 4 trillion to our debt.
big beautiful bill. When was that?
So
Are
that
you talking about COVID
was
era?
no, this was during, I believe, 2025. The Big Beautiful Bill was
Hmm.
a sweeping piece of legislation that it was with it's where you got the quote unquote no tax on tips, no tax on overtime,
Hmm.
no tax on Social Security,
Yeah.
and it did add 4 trillion to our debt.
Yeah, one thing I like to state is a lot of times whenever we talk about deficit spending under Republican presidents, a lot of times this deficit comes from tax cuts, or at least as a fiscal conservative, that's what I like to imagine. But like you mentioned, the Republicans come in and they tend to give tax cuts, which usually puts money back in the pockets of people, and that does lead to a bigger deficit. But I really like to think that that's different from the
It's
way
not though.
Democrats
It's not
tend to
though.
do. Wait, I think it's different from the way Democrats do, which is new spending in which they come up with programs. And oftentimes we see these programs absolutely fail and being wastes of millions, if not
Well, I
billions of
don't think
dollars, right?
SNAP was a failure. I don't think Medicare, Medicaid is a failure. And I don't think that
Uh,
welfare in a lot of cases is a failure. I think the issue is when it comes, I, I'm okay with paying more in taxes if it meant my fellow American got to eat a full meal, sleep somewhere, and
hmm
had health care. And I'd even pay
I,
50% in taxes. That's extreme.
I,
That's
mhm.
just me though.
I agree. If it's like I could pay 50% of taxes and everyone gets their needs met and everyone's happy, that would increase the quality of life for everyone, right? Because then we wouldn't be seeing people on the streets, we wouldn't be seeing this
Yeah.
and that. But first off, I think there's some problems that can't really be solved like that. Um, what was I going to say? Oh, damn it. Sorry, I lost my train of thought again. This is
No,
happening
you're
a lot.
fine, brother. I mean, it's late in the day and, I
Yeah.
totally
Didn't get
understand.
much sleep today.
Well, hey, I hope you get, sleep's important. Got to get that 8 hours, man. But
Yeah. Huh?
yeah, I think that a lot of these so I don't deny that fraud
Oh, I
happens,
remember what I
right?
was going to say. I'm sorry?
But I don't deny that like fraud happens, for example, but
Yeah.
we
Like,
have
I think
agencies for
there is a
that.
lot.
Well, we have
There's
agencies
a
for
lot of
that.
fraud. And there's also a lot of people like getting, like, some of the terms that were put in place seem somewhat logical, right? Like we can kind of agree that if, like, SNAP, I would prefer it if it was used on healthier food, maybe. I'm not sure. I'm sure sometimes they messed up and some people weren't getting the food that they needed. But
Yeah,
making
I
some requirements, saying, hey, you can't just go use SNAP and go eat McDonald's all day. Like that's
Well, you can't
not,
use Snap at McDonald's. You can use it
yeah,
at like
yeah, junk
Walmart
food.
and stuff. So
Yeah, junk
what
food.
I personally think is I don't really see the necessary for it. Now, if they're buying like ding dongs constantly and stuff, that's probably not
Hmm.
healthy. But that's not really typically how that works. People usually do buy um, food that they require for the month to feed their family, and you can't just feed your family ding dongs. The way I see it is we do need uh we need better health standards in terms of the food we put out and stuff, but I think that is much more from knowledge, spreading knowledge about what type of food is good for you, what type of food is bad for you. And I don't think
I think
like
we mainly know that, bro. We
I don't
know what's
know,
healthy.
not I mean some people will eat a burger from Burger King and it'll have lettuce and they'll be like, "Oh, I'm good for the next 5 months, man." I mean, it is
uh,
unfortunate, but not a lot of people like know this stuff, unfortunately. Some people don't know that eating ding dong constantly is probably not good for you.
uh,
And I know it's hard to believe, but some people do feel that way. And a
mhm.
lot of the time it is like habits, right? Some people have habits in the food that they eat. So it's breaking that
At that point,
habit
it's
that is much
mhm,
more important, I'd say. And there are ways to do that, but I don't think
mhm.
it can be government based. That's much more
Yeah.
like it's hard to tell, it's hard to tell people what to eat. You can't just like put a piece of lettuce in their mouth and say, there you, or,
Mhm.
you can't. So knowledge about this stuff, though, I believe in like government programs that help people understand what they're putting in their body and stuff like that.
I just looked it up, and it looks like the rate of obesity for people receiving SNAP is actually 44% versus 38% for matched income eligible non-participants. So it seems like being on SNAP leads to about a 6% increase in obesity, which I think translates to something close to 17-ish% increase likelihood in obesity of essentially the same person with SNAP versus without.
Well,
So that's
that kind of
just an
goes to
interesting statistic.
my theory is that people that are, I don't want to say less educated because that makes it sound elitist and shit, but people that don't understand how to take care of their body typically are in more impoverished positions. And that's more from
Hmm.
the luxury of being able to, like, a lot of this healthier food is more expensive a lot of the time. And so I feel that's pretty representative of just poverty in general, is that unfortunately with the way America kind of works right now, you if you, being obese is actually something that is more a sign of poverty than being fit is, because being fit requires like a gym membership and eating healthy and knowing what goes into your body. And so that kind
Oh,
of makes
well,
sense to me. I don't think it's because of SNAP.
I don't know. I would think that somebody that is low income would have less access to food, and generally less access to food would lead to um, less obesity, right? Like if someone is on SNAP and obese, it's kind of like maybe they're getting a little too.
Well, I can
You know,
understand
like,
feeling that way. I would personally prefer a program that sources food from local farmers and gives it to them that way. Unfortunately, a
yeah.
lot of Americans don't. They live in urban environments where farm fresh foods are like hundreds of miles away and stuff. So, you know, I can kind of see like maybe for rural Americans, which I that's my concern a lot of the time is rural Americans. I could definitely see a different program that sources healthier foods to these individuals, but it doesn't quite address the urban issue, which is they're not close to these farm fresh types of fact or farms, but
I mean, they could
um
just eat less, right? They could even just keep eating the
well,
same crap they're eating, just eat a little bit less
I
of it. That saves some money.
see, but that, food in a lot of obesity situations is an addiction. It's not necessarily like they're fiending to get a Twinkie, but, my brother is a perfect example. He was obese. I mean, we're talking like 400 pounds. And
Damn.
yeah, he was very large. But that was because he used food as a coping mechanism, right? He
Mhm.
would, anytime he was sad, he'd eat something. Anytime he was upset, he'd eat something. And it wasn't necessarily that, he obviously did not want to be this big. But he had this inability, or he had this kind of addiction, I would say, or coping mechanism where eating food helped him feel better. Well, recently he has Oh, he's lost all the weight, by the way. He's like fucking buffer than me now. So,
Nice.
that I just put it at ease. But, I think that was only because he was able to realize that the behavior that he was engaging in was damaging to himself. So again, I think government programs that help people understand like what calories can do to you and all that type of stuff would be beneficial in a lot of ways. I don't think just cutting snack like not allowing them to buy Twinkies or anything is really going to solve it because that just incentivizes people to sell off their SNAP benefits and get it
Hmm.
a different way. So I think the best way to deal with this is like those government programs and maybe in rural areas, which you actually do see a higher rate of obesity in rural areas, maybe
Hmm.
presenting a program that pays farmers for their crops and their meat and all that, and sources it to impoverished areas that would otherwise not necessarily have access to that type. I think that could work actually, and maybe a pretty good alternative to Snap.
So one thing that you seem to go back to a lot that it really raises a lot of alarms for me is it seems like you want all of these programs and all of these uh, all these programs essentially run by the government to do a job. And what I can tell you, California, just look at our high-speed rail. And that's all I really need to
Well,
say is the government,
well,
like, we're
that's
gonna
not
pour a bunch of
necessarily
money.
analog. That's not an analog because again, we're talking about
Uh,
a state government, but also that there were a lot of issues with the high speed rail. One of the big issues was zoning laws. So the issue with the high speed rail is it went through some residential properties, some private properties, and they didn't quite have the zoning clearance for that. And then they also had to contend with all the zoning laws just in general for those properties. So these would be an example of like no CO2 emissions, stuff like that, which really gummed up the works. And this is an issue that Gavin Newsom even mentions is that this was a problem. And it's something the book Abundance talks about as well. Um,
but who makes the
uh,
zoning laws if not California? You're saying the state got in the way
well,
of the
again,
state
these are,
making innovate like the high-speed
yeah,
rail should be something where like it's energy efficient. It's like it's all
no,
around
I understand, but
like
a lot
people
of
that
these
are for
zoning
the
laws were put
environment
in
should have been in it.
place. Well, a
This
lot of
is
these
something
zoning
they
laws were put in
really
place,
wanted,
but
and it's
that's
still
breaking the
yeah. Sorry.
law. It's hard to get around the law, you know? And so I agree we
Hmm.
need to remove some of these zoning laws, but those were put in place and they are law. So it's hard to get around them without making sweeping legislation, removing some of those restrictions. And of course, when you do that in a pretty democratic area, you're going to run into people that are more concerned about the environment and more concerned about what this might do to, I don't know, like the local population, stuff like that. And,
Hmm.
I understand being disappointed in the high speed rail. I really do.
A lot
But
of California projects, honestly.
yeah, and I understand it, but there is a reason why it hasn't been built yet. But at the very least, Gavin Newsom he's willing to say, yeah, we fucked up there and we need to rethink how we're gonna do it. At least he's not just like building parts in some areas and then not building parts in other. I mean, at least that's
He's
not what
not
we're
building
dealing with.
anything. I think do we have like a 1 mile stretch thus far after
Hey, there
18
we go.
years where we're
You might have two
so
miles at that point. Let's go. No, I
and all
do
we had to
think
do was spend like 120 billion and we got our little 1 mile stretch.
I
And
understand. I
it,
do. But
it's you can see why I'm very skeptical of government programs when the
I
high
can
speed
see
rail
it.
that was supposed to connect like it was supposed to be LA to San Francisco. Now it's like like Fresno to somewhere else that no one's ever heard of, and it's
Well,
costing us 4 times the amount, and it's like 1/8 the length, and it's taken 18 years, and
but
we
that's
still
a
haven't got
mega
like
project.
like
You know what I
it's
mean?
it's
Mega
a
projects are harder to complete then
China did it in like 5 years. They built like 100 times
and
the length.
China has uniparty rule. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah. Well,
I
so does
wouldn't. I don't
California if
want to
you
go to
really think
China.
about it.
Like China's a shitty.
Cali-
No offense to
California
China.
is pretty uniparty. It's like you're not getting like you're not winning as a Republican in
Yeah,
almost
well,
any
there's a
district out
difference
here.
though, because the political parties, we admit they have different ideologies in them, especially the Democrats, We have different sects and factions, but they did identify the issue with why that isn't working. And it is a lot of times these zoning laws, which uh
They
a
put in
really
place.
good book by Ezra Klein, Abundance, goes into this and basically argues he's much more talking about the housing crisis we're facing. And he
Yeah.
argues to get rid of a lot of these zoning laws because,
Yeah.
in a lot of cases they were good faith laws. They're like, you can't
hmm
build a house here because the CO2 emissions will eventually could have somebody develop asthma or something, which we don't want. And that makes sense, but it doesn't make sense if people are living on the street. I think people
Yeah.
would rather live in a house that may at some point give them a health concern than not live anywhere at all, you know? And so,
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that's an interesting idea. Um, but yeah, there's the real anyways, that was kind of my point. Sorry, I
Yeah.
kind
Yeah.
of lost my train of
Uh,
thought as well.
you're good. You're good. As for the zoning laws, like we had this housing problem 10 years ago in California. We're gonna have this problem 10 years from now as well. It's we know what the issues are. The issues tend to not get resolved because it's all just caught up in bureaucracy, and I feel like that's where a
Oh
lot
yeah.
of these programs are gonna end up in. Is
Well,
as we keep
bureaucracy is
pumping,
something else. Yeah, they
bureau.
talk about abundance actually. I think you'd actually really like. It's not like a super lib. It's actually kind of. It's an interesting book. It's called Abundance, but they
Mhm.
talk about this too, the bureaucracy, how you have to get approval from this municipality, and then you
Mhm.
have to get approval from this person. And then, for extra measure, you got to send it through to the government agency, which can take about 10 months, and then you get it back.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hate that. And I am all for efficient government. Like, make no mistake.
Of course.
Like,
Who isn't, right?
exactly.
We
And
all
so,
want good things. Like at the end of the day, we all want good things. And I think that's kind of important to keep in mind because there's a lot of rhetoric going around, like people
oh,
saying,
yeah.
"Oh, Republicans want me dead. Oh, how could you vote for someone that wants me dead?" Like no one wants you dead, bro.
Well,
Like
I
we all,
do.
yeah,
I don't think Republicans want me dead. You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah.
Um, I can maybe see if you're a trans person and you feel very discriminated, but I don't think they want to kill people or put people in camps
Mhm.
besides
Yeah.
undocumented citizens. But that's another point. Um, but I do generally think that most just politicians and most people that are interested in politics, they are in it for a good reason. And they are
Yeah.
generally wanting to help the American people. We just have
hmm
disagreements on how to get there. And I don't think
Exactly.
those
The goal's the
disagreements
same.
should disallow the other party from working on policy together. Because I think the best policy is done when both sides have say in it.
Yeah, for sure.
Well,
Um,
brother, I thought this was a good conversation. I do
great
have to
talk,
end
bro.
my
Great
stream,
talk.
but yeah, I
Of course.
appreciate the convo. Have a
Of
great
course.
day, brother.
You too.
Peace. Yeah, I don't hate Republicans, and I don't want Republicans to feel like I hate them. I think the issues we have right now very much are systemic and all of that. But anyways, I am gonna get out of here. What happened to my viewers? That's insane. Anyways, I'm gonna get out of here. Thank you guys so much for the love and support. Shout out to Chev. Shout out to Aussie Welder, and shout out to Smiling Dog. I remembered all of you because you're my friends. Anyways, I'm gonna raid you guys into somewhere, so don't go anywhere. If you guys want some great content, I will provide it. I will provide it. But this is gonna end the stream. I will be live tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. CST, where I'll be going over the news, and then I will be live at 5 p.m. CST as well. So thank you guys so much for liking and subbing. I really appreciate you guys. Until tomorrow, have a great day. Have a great day, guys. I'll see you tomorrow.